Live from Nashville Superspeedway, it's time to get primed with our Full Throttle Pre-Race Show live on the MTN Sports Network, sponsored by the MTSU School of Journalism and Strategic Media. Now let's go to the track.
After a nearly 3-hour rain delay, we are set for racing in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series tonight from Nashville Superspeedway. It's the Allegiance 200, set to start in about 5 minutes or so. Dylan Simmons alongside Willie Failer. Willie, what a fantastic night we've got for racing. A little bit later than we were expecting, but it's always a good night to watch some NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series action, and we're just thrilled to be here for the MTN Sports Network.
Yeah, Dylan, it's been a heck of a delay so far, and a lot of dryer watching here on the mile and third track here in Nashville. But ready to get going. Trucks got their engines going, and we're ready to roll.
Yes, this is a mile and a third racetrack here at the Nashville Superspeedway, all concrete, which made the drying process a little bit better. But we've got some drivers who are ready to get after it tonight, and there are some drivers that we think have a pretty solid chance of winning, Willie. Which drivers do you have your eye on so far here tonight?
Yeah, the first one standing out to me is last week's winner, Lane Riggs, second place in the points standing, a guy that we've really seen kind of get going on these intermediate tracks, finding a lot of grip, finding short-term success, some long-term success as well. So that's a guy that I believe that can jump out in that number 34 Ford. And the other one stepping out to me is last year's winner of the Craftsman Truck Series race here in Nashville, number 7 Raja Caruth, rocking the number 7 Chevy for Spire tonight. And kind of unfortunate circumstances for Caruth to be in this race. Got to address it at some point. Raja is driving in place of the late, great Kyle Busch tonight, but last year's winner here in the Craftsman Truck Series in Nashville, I wouldn't be shocked to see him do it again.
And, of course, our thoughts and condolences are with the Busch family as they go through this tremendous tragedy, but obviously Raja will represent the 7 and Kyle Busch well tonight. As far as favorites that I've got in mind, I think that Caden Honeycutt's got a really good shot out of Willow Park, Texas, racing for Tricon Garage, currently the points leader, and having a really solid season so far. Picked up his first career Craftsman Truck Series win a couple weeks ago at Watkins Glen. Has really been on a rush recently, and I expect him to continue that here tonight. And I'm also keeping an eye on Jesse Love. Usually races in the O'Reilly Series, defending O'Reilly Series champion, and the driver out of Menlo Park, California, looking to have a big night here tonight. He's had success at Nashville in the past, and I think he's got a good shot of doing it here once again. We're going to send it to a quick 2-minute timeout. When we come back, we'll get set for the Allegiance 200 from Nashville.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough. But if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time-to-talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand?
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
Welcome back here on the MTN Sports Network to the Allegiance 200 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series live from the Nashville Superspeedway. Dylan Simmons and Willie Failer joining you on this Friday night. Trucks are on the racetrack, about to go double file, and we're about to have some racing here on this concrete mile and a third track, Willie.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting start here, qualifying getting cut short because of the weather coming into the Middle Tennessee area. But starting up front on the inside, Lane Riggs on pole. Next to him, the Toyota number 11, Caden Honeycutt. Followed behind them, the O'Reilly's defending champion, Jesse Love in third, and Giovanni Ruggiero in fourth. Christian Eckes in fifth. Ben Rhodes following back in sixth. Brandon Jones in seventh. The O'Reilly's regular, William Solich in eighth. Tanner Gray and Daniel Hemrick rounding out the top 10.
Yes, and another driver to keep an eye on tonight, Ross Chastain, Cup regular in the field. And remember, he did win the 2023 race here at Nashville for the Cup Series, so he's been able to win before, and he's looking to do the same here tonight. In total, there are 5 non-truck regulars in this field, 4 O'Reilly drivers and Chastain, so that'll be something to keep an eye on, how much success that they'll have throughout this process as well. And, of course, with the concrete surface and the runs that we've seen historically at Nashville Superspeedway, the handling and the tires especially are going to be a key thing to keep an eye on tonight, Willie.
Yeah, it definitely is, and that's going to be your make-or-break situations, especially with things to come in the future, not to speculate on Mother Nature, but looking at some more rain coming into this area so you can see an early pit stop and a green flag run and then rain coming in and killing this race being the difference tonight. So strategy going to be paramount. You want to talk about Chastain all the way back in 21st in the 45 with a pretty sweet watermelon paint scheme for the Melon Man himself. And for Ross tonight, he's going to have to carve through this field and try to get up there quick.
10 races into the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series season. Only 3 Truck Series regulars have won Truck Series races so far this season, those being Chandler Smith, Lane Riggs, and Caden Honeycutt. We'll see if potentially a new Truck Series regular can take a win tonight in this race at Nashville Superspeedway. And there is a new format in the championship this year when it comes to not just the Truck Series, but all 3 series. Now it's the chase for the championship, which means 10 races down to the wire towards the end of the season. And what you do in the regular season has a lot more bearing on how you will be set up for that chase.
Yeah, a lot less of the win and you're in ideology. And sure, winning, the best thing you can do in sports, regardless of whether it has a ball, whether you're on a track, whether you're running, you want to win. But gives less incentives to a make or break and a lot more to your guys that are going to run consistently in the top 5, top 10. It makes you go back to think about some of those earlier championships in 2000s, like the year Matt Kenseth won the NASCAR Cup Series championship without winning a race. And some people certainly not a fan of the format that we used to have where it relied so heavily on winning and pretty much meant you had to win in the championship for whether it was at Homestead, Miami, whether it was at Phoenix or wherever else they were having it. And so NASCAR kind of listening to its fan base a little bit there and reverting the pattern, and so just means every race means that much more.
Yeah, consistency is much more of a key in this new age. And by the way, it's an 8-race chase, just to clarify, for the Truck Series. Taking a look at the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series point standings, Caden Honeycutt, as we said earlier in the broadcast, is the points leader, but that race for the points lead very close right now between himself and Lane Riggs, who's only 11 points behind. And of course, Lane picked up the win at Charlotte last weekend, having a really good middle part of the season and trying to go back-to-back tonight.
Yeah, I mean, those two really feels like they've kind of separated themselves here in that early to midpoint of the season as the two to watch out for this Craftsman Truck Series championship. And sure, a lot can change, a lot of racing left. Season is still young, but there's no way to set yourself up for the future than doing well early.
Christian Eckes is third in the standings, 71 points behind Honeycutt. Then it's Gio Ruggiero in fourth, Chandler Smith in fifth. Ben Rhodes is in 6th, Ty Majeski in 7th, Jake Garcia for ThorSport in 8th, Daniel Hemrick in 9th, Tyler Ankrum at 10th, Stuart Friesen at 11th, and Justin Haley is at 12th. And again, Lane Riggs won the last race here in the Craftsman Truck Series. He, Honeycutt, and Chandler Smith, the only 3 Truck Series regulars to win a Truck Series race this year. But there is somebody in the field who has experience winning at Nashville when it comes to the Truck Series. Rajah Caruth won the race last year at Nashville, and with that experience and now moving up and having some success in the O'Reilly Series, that could pay well for him tonight as well.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head, and we talked about it in the drivers to watch segment. Raja picking up the dub here last year, and although he's an O'Reilly full-timer, haven't seen a lack of him in the Truck Series. So this isn't him just being thrown in and kind of throwing up a prayer and, we'll get a top 10 and see how we go. But instead for Raja, an experienced dude behind the wheel. And, I mean, just a lot of racing for him, especially up in the O'Reilly Series, splitting time between the two teams, most notably with JR Motorsports running that the double 8 for Dale Earnhardt Jr., the team owner, and the Chevrolet manufacturer. So I think Raja, a guy to really watch tonight. We've seen him have success on these surfaces that chew up your rubber very quickly.
And taking a look at the stage format for tonight, stage 1, 45 laps, stage 2 is 50 laps, and the final stage is 55 laps. So pretty evenly split between the three stages. But, there's one thing you mentioned earlier, Willie, and that is the sense of urgency for these guys. They've been stuck in their motorhomes or in their trucks basically all day. Qualifying got rained out after it got started, but they haven't been able to be on track for a while. They're going to be eager, and that could lead to some high-action truck racing in the early part of this one.
Oh, absolutely, and I think we mentioned the impending weather as well, a little bit more possibility coming on later tonight as we've got some dryers back on pit road, guys still taking pace laps. I think that's going to cause drivers to be more aggressive, and as their crew chiefs, as their team engineers are keeping an eye on that radar, because these are guys that certainly have experience with trying to figure out when the time is to make a move. And I think the difference tonight is going to be who makes the most aggressive move at the right time.
All right, we're going to take one more quick timeout. We'll be back in 2 minutes right here on the MTN Sports Network for the Allegiance 200.
You can't escape a traffic jam. Know what else you can't escape? Seasonal allergies. And you might think you can avoid that coffee stain until... Oh, really? You can't escape a lot of things in life, but you can escape prediabetes. Prediabetes captures 1 in 3 adults. There are usually no signs of prediabetes. In fact, most people don't even know they have it. But with early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Take action by taking the 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. You might not be able to escape having this song stuck in your head, but you can escape prediabetes. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to great things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisisfreeretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Talking to your kids about the dangers of vaping can be hard. Getting them to listen to hot gossip is easy. So here's some drama you could share with your kids. Dude, did you hear about Cassie and Jake? No, but did you hear that vaping can cause irreversible lung damage and nicotine affects brain development? Nuh-uh. You don't need to gossip if you want to have an open conversation about vaping. So if you want to get tips on when and how to talk to your kids, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
The chase for the checkered flag begins here. Live from Nashville Superspeedway, it's NASCAR on the MTN Sports Network. Brought to you by the MTSU Scott Borchetta College of Media and Entertainment. Now to bring you all the action on the track, here's Dylan Simmons and Willie Failer.
200 from Nashville Superspeedway, just about set to go green. Dylan Simmons and Willie Failer with you as the trucks continue to do pace laps around this 1.25 mile racetrack. But we are soon to be set for hopefully 150 laps of green flag action tonight. And of course, as we said before the break, we expect a high sense of urgency and high action from these drivers early as they look to take the victory tonight here at Nashville Superspeedway. And I just got to say, on a personal note, it is super cool to be up here, Willie. We were talking about it before the break. Almost seems surreal to have this opportunity, and we're having a great time soaking it all in so far tonight.
Yeah, certainly. I think you hit the nail on the head once again, Dylan. It's just a really cool experience. Glad we got the opportunity to do this, and I think the best thing is that we've gotten the opportunity to see trucks on the track now, hoping to get down towards those final pace laps. Couple drivers finishing up some business on the last quarter of pit lane. And the truck's out there trying to heat up those tires, find some grip. And I think once we go green, we're going to see a lot of movement early, trying to find the lines that work best for these guys because they got ample opportunity earlier today between the Craftsman Truck Series practice and then the half of the field that was able to qualify. But with the rain coming in and washing away whatever rubber they laid down and whatever lines they were able to find, it's going to be a whole new track for these guys. So it's going to be awesome to see how these drivers are going to be able to adapt and adjust to the conditions we have after the storm.
And that's an important thing to keep in mind in the situation as well. Like you mentioned, this race is happening later, obviously, than it was intended. But with that reality, you also have to think about lower temperatures. It could change the handling. It could affect the impact of the trucks going around. They may not be as grippy on the surface. And that could lead to some interesting circumstances for these drivers tonight. So that's a great point you make. And it'll be curious to see how that will continue to round things out as we continue on. Solid crowd on hand tonight here at the Nashville Superspeedway, and hopefully we'll be able to get this thing green in just a moment. Right now, the dominant team in the series, Tricon Garage. Of course, Corey Heim won the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship a season ago with 12 wins, and now Caden Honeycutt, who took over his ride, having a great season, trying to convert into a second win this season for Tricon Garage and for Toyota. We'll see if he'll be able to get that done as time goes on. One guy who's had some bad luck so far this season is really Cole Butcher in the 13 truck. He's had a few different DNFs, and we've seen the talent from him so far, but hasn't been able to put together consistent runs. But that could be said for some of the other guys as well. Ty Majeski has had some bad luck in some of these races, had a rough outing at Charlotte last week. And in that early part of the season, I bring that up to say, when you have those DNFs, it can be tough to overcome the points deficit you find yourself in, but the good thing to note is we're only 10 races into the season, and there's a lot of time to make up that deficit, and that's important for these drivers to remember.
Yeah, I mean, kind of building off of what you said, Dylan, another guy I'm watching to see if they're kind of able to not really even bounce back, but just to have a breakthrough, going to be Minnie Terrell in the 14 Colleague Machine. The winner of Race for the Seat, which was a reality show made to earn this Colleague seat for the season. It just hasn't been a great go for him in his rookie campaign. Has a 1 top 10 in the race at Watkins Glen and an average finish around that P23 spot. So I think with the conditions being scattered tonight and it kind of just being every man for himself and even a little bit of wild card luck based off the handling of your truck out of the gate, I think it's a big opportunity for Terrell to kind of remind this series who he is.
And we'll see if Minnie Tyrell will be able to use that to his advantage tonight. Trucks are beginning to line up double file. That is a great sign, and hopefully that means we'll have some green flag racing coming up here in just a moment as the fans and the crowd hopes that this one will get started fairly soon. And of course, like we said before, we expect this first stage to be a little chaotic, and I'm curious to see who's going to be aggressive early on because you do want to manage your supplies in your truck, but you also don't want to put too much into it early on and use up your stuff and not have enough later on in the race. But you're trying to balance that with the possibility that this race could get cut short later on. So that's a lot mentally for a driver to juggle in their head, Willie.
Yeah, especially with Stage 1 resting right around 45 laps, but then Stage 2 as well, only a 50-lap stage before that sprint to the finish to get to lap 150 at the 55-lap mark for Stage 3. So it'll be interesting to see how teams are going to play with the strategy here because realistically, you could try to fight through Stage 1 and go for a green flag stop in the middle of 2, or you could stop at 1 and 2 and try to keep it at just 2 stops until possibly a late yellow as we get up into the 140s, close to that 150 lap marker. And so just a lot of it's going to be a chess match tonight for those guys at the top of the booths on pit lane.
Hypothetically, in this situation, and you brought up the crew chiefs and what they're going to have to deal with in this spot, what are you telling your driver right now, especially if they're a younger driver in this spot? You're anxious, you've been cooped up all day, you want to go out there and give it everything you have, but What do you say to them in this situation to kind of keep them under control and keep them focused on, hey, let's race hard, but let's not race too hard early on?
Every driver is different, Dylan, and so I think that gives kind of a different perspective for each crew chief as well. But I think the easiest base thing to go through is we have a pass-through of pit lane coming here right now before we get ready to go green. I think you've got the way to calm your guy down, whether it's tell him to take a breath, tell him to stick to what they do, and just try to not be bigger than yourself, bigger than your truck, bigger than your machine. Especially in a race like this, you're only running 150 laps on a 1 1/3 track. And with conditions where you don't really know much outside of these pace laps where you're going at a pretty minimal speed, and so that's not going to tell you much about the handling of your truck. So I think it's more of just go back to basics and do what you know how to do.
And one more thing, and this is a bit more of a minor point, Willie, don't get in the grass, because with all the rain and precipitation we've had coming down, if you get in that grass, that splitter is going to be blown up, and you may be going for a heck of a ride. So it's easy to say, obviously, but if you take a spin, you're going to have to be very careful if you're on that grass tonight.
Your corner panel might end up pushed back towards your number decal under the driver door.
Yes, you do not want to find yourself in that situation, so hopefully all the drivers will be able to stay away from the grass tonight, but they line up double file once again, and hopefully we'll get the 1 to go signal as they come around the next time. One more interesting fact about the Truck Series so far this season, there have only been 2 oval races won by Truck Series regulars so far. Lane Riggs won the race at Charlotte, obviously, last weekend, and Chandler Smith took the win at Daytona. But otherwise, oval races have mostly been dominated by O'Reilly and Cup regulars. We'll see if that trend shifts tonight. But we already talked about this a little bit. Of those O'Reilly and Cup guys in the field tonight, is there anybody that stands out to you that could have a real good shot of taking home this victory, Willie?
I think coming back from deep into the 21st qualifying position, it's going to be hard to ignore Ross Chastain and what he's become, one of the true superstars of the sport, especially after that famous pass up against the wall at Martinsville to advance to the championship 4 a couple of years back. I think Ross is one of the best overall drivers in this field, but I've said it, I'm going to stick on it. I think Raja Caruth in that number 7 machine for Spire Motorsports, that's the guy to watch. He did it last year. He's in a really good truck tonight. I think he's got a good opportunity to keep it going.
2 career Truck Series wins for Raja, the 3rd black driver to win a National Series race alongside Wendell Scott and Bubba Wallace. 2021 Wendell Scott Trailblazer Award winner. Raja from Washington, D.C., hoping to have a great night tonight. Parker Retzlaff, another guy I'm curious to keep an eye on. Usually in the O'Reilly Series, races behind a Ford. He's in a Toyota tonight for Halmer Friesen Racing, so it's going to be a bit of a different situation for him. And it's not always completely different when you switch, switch manufacturers, but that could still be a little bit of an unusual situation for Parker.
Yeah, Dylan, you typically see guys kind of stay within their organization or at least within their manufacturer. And you said sometimes it's the same, but also sometimes it could be different. So for Parker tonight, it could be like he's trying to learn how to drive in Spanish.
Yes, and we'll see if he's able to translate all that madness that he may have to deal with, but hopefully all will go well for Parker as time goes on. And again, one great thing about the Truck Series this year is that, yes, Cup drivers are eligible, but as we get further down towards the end of the season, the truck guys will be able to battle it out for the championship without interference. All right, we've got the 1 to go signal, so we should be getting set for green flag racing when we come around next time. And Willie, the anxiety and the intensity is about to tick up 7-fold for these drivers.
Yeah, you can hear those Craftsman Truck Series machines start to rev up here as they're coming through that front stretch one last time behind the Tacoma, leading the way as the pace truck. And so those guys up in the front, Lane Riggs in pole position, Caden Honeycutt to his right, Jesse Love and Giovanni Ruggiero rounding out those top 2 rows as they head into the backstretch. Those are going to be the guys that are really revved up here as you come up towards that Echo Park restart zone.
And remember, 14 degrees of banking on this racetrack, so not the steepest 1 1/3 racetrack in the world. So speeds here are usually going to top out around 160, 162, 163, but still plenty of speed to be carried by these Truck Series drivers throughout this contest. And we'll see how much ground drivers will be able to make up in the turns and on the straightaways. Should be set for a fantastic race. Fans are excited. They've been waiting here since really 6 o'clock when the pre-race started for this one to get underway. A lot of delays and a lot of concern, but we're just about set to get this one underway here tonight in the Allegiance 200. Let's settle back and enjoy here on the MTN Sports Network what will hopefully be a fantastic night of Craftsman Truck Series racing.
A hard left by that pace truck, Dylan. Here they come to the restart zone.
They'll enter the Echo Park Automotive Restart Zone and we'll get set here in the Allegiance 200 at Nashville Superspeedway. It's green and it's on.
Riggs getting a good jump heading into one on that front stretch, going to the high line, blocking those behind him.
Caden Honeycutt on the outside, trying to make some ground up on Riggs, but Lane Riggs is a rocket to start this race, already putting a pretty good 2-3 truck gap between himself and Honeycutt.
A big run off of 2 for Riggs, carrying it into 3, and the rest of the field settling in behind him. It's Lane Riggs and everyone else so far coming into the front stretch.
Jesse Love on the outside lane trying to get the third position. He'll clear and take it. It's Honeycutt, Lane Riggs, and Jesse Love in the top 3 spots as they go across the start-finish line.
And you're starting to see the rest of the pack file in behind them, starting to muddle up into one around those 10th, 11th, 12th positions.
And up towards the outside, it is Christian Eckes and Gio Ruggiero. They're fighting for that 5th spot right now. Looks like Ruggiero's going to have the advantage as they go 3 wide into turn 3. That could be trouble.
Especially early on, Dylan, we were talking about guys going to be aggressive, but you didn't expect to see them that aggressive coming into lap 3, going 3 wide on the short banking track here on the concrete.
Lane Riggs continues to put a pretty good gap between himself and Caden Honeycutt. And the trucks have fanned out pretty well so far. Single file for about the first 7 or 8 vehicles, with some double file behind them about 12th or 13th position.
Riggs already knocking a truck down under lap after a black machine. We'll try to get a number on that as we come into the front stretch, having to hit the pits early on after a troubled start. That'll be the number 44.
That is Andres Perez.
So a bad start for Perez, but Riggs continuing to grow his lead. Perez looks like he's in second place with everyone else following behind him.
Yeah, we'll see if Caden Honeycutt can deal well with the lap truck of Andres Perez. And it's impressive to see the start that Honeycutt has had, that Riggs has had so far, well in front of Honeycutt. And coming off the win against at Charlotte last week, he is showing his speed early on in this one.
It'll be interesting to see who's able to settle in. Honeycutt finally catching up to Perez, trying to pass him on the high side. Riggs' lead continuing to grow with the trouble coming from the lap truck.
Ross Chastain trying to make his way through the field. He's moved up a few spots so far, but still mired back there around 18th position. We'll see how much ground he'll be able to make up as time goes on. Ty Majeski to the inside going into turn 3, trying to pick up a spot of his own.
And Majeski having a good start, bumping up 4 places already. Started 25th, now up to 21st as Riggs comes to the line.
Lane Riggs continuing to show a lot of dominance early on. And with the single file nature of this race, are you surprised at how lax they've been so far, or do you think this is kind of the appropriate response early on in this race, Willie?
I mean, we saw a little bit of trouble starting to brew over there in 3 with the 3 wide a few laps ago, but I think right now the main thing for these drivers is just trying to find what they have in their trucks, because we talked about in the pre-race about how whatever setup they had from practice and qualifying is completely out the window.
Majeski still trying to make that move to the inside of Justin Haley. Boy, that was close, right up against his left rear quarter panel. Haley able to clear. He'll have the advantage coming to the start-finish line.
And Riggs' lead continuing to grow up to about half a turn now. That Yellow Loves number 34 machine is really booking it around the confines of Nashville Superspeedway.
Yeah, and Caden Honeycutt still has not been able to surpass Andres Perez, who's currently not in second, but looks like he's in second, as Willie mentioned earlier, due to being a lap truck. So he is a lap down. Honeycutt about 2 seconds back of Lane Riggs right now, with a lot of room still for that lead to grow.
And now sitting on lap 8, fans getting a little quiet here in remembrance of Kyle Busch and his sudden passing. Some fans down in the bleachers holding up 4 on each hand for the RCR number 8 machine.
Of course, Kyle Busch, a legend in not just the Craftsman Truck Series, but all 3 NASCAR National Touring Series, all-time leader in Craftsman Truck Series wins. And even though he may not be here physically, his presence is still very much felt tonight here at the Nashville Superspeedway.
but another guy making the presence known. I mean, you can't say enough about what Lane Riggs has done here so far through about the first 9 laps, building out a big lead up to a second, or 1.76 tenths already, a big lead.
Tyler Ankrum getting past Justin Haley. Dawson Sutton is behind him, and he's got a pretty unique paint scheme tonight, Willie. He is wearing the UT orange colors, and that's University of Tennessee, to be specific. Pretty cool paint scheme here in Tennessee tonight.
Yeah, when in Rome, do as the Romans do for Ankrum, rocking the Vols scheme, like you had mentioned.
Lane Riggs with about a 1.8 second advantage over Caden Honeycutt. Chandler Smith up 11 positions since the start of the race. Also, Daniel Dye up 10 spots. Those two are cruising here early at Nashville Superspeedway.
Yeah, Dye, a guy that we know that has it in the driver's seat, starting in the back of the field and making his way through some traffic. But don't forget Minnie Terrell pretty much matching Dye's production so far, moving up 8 spots.
Chandler Smith, of course, the winner at Daytona earlier this year out of Talking Rock, Georgia, and the teammate of the leader, Lane Riggs, of Front Row Motorsports, and those Fords looking pretty fast so far. Lane Riggs trying to take his 3rd win of the season, and what would establish him the points lead early on in the going, as he's led all 10 laps tonight. And, of course, he is the son of former NASCAR Cup Series driver Scott Riggs, that some may remember from the mid-2000s.
And it's interesting to really kind of lock in on Riggs and watch what he's been doing. A little bit different than some other drivers. You see guys kind of tiptoe on that apron right by the Nashville Superspeedway logo at the checkered line, but instead Riggs kind of riding up a little bit more towards the wall, taking a middle lane, and then starting to dip down and coming quickly off that. So we're seeing him really start to establish a line here early.
Ross Chastain still trying to make some moves. He's battling with Grant Infinger right now. And, of course, Chastain, like we talked about, had to start way back towards the middle of the pack. And he's been making some steady progress, but sometimes it's not easy to negotiate through some of these truck drivers.
Yeah, and especially for Ross, because it's a guy that's experienced in the trucks, but coming from the Cup cars to the Craftsman Truck Series, a bit of an adjustment. We saw that in the qualifying run for him, ending up 21st as he goes to make a move on Infinger. Down on the inside, he's going to get a run going into 2. And what a move by Ross Chastain as Infinger pulls up next to him, slides a little bit, and Infinger coming back out in front, crossing the checkered line.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there, Willie. Ross was sideways coming off turn 4. Can't believe he saved that truck. That is quality truck control, and of course Ross Chastain has plenty of experience with that. He did race full-time with the trucks a few seasons ago before eventually making the move up to the Cup Series level of competition, but trying to hold on to that truck, battling against Parker Retzlaff.
Yeah, Infinger pulling back out in front. Chastain got a little bit loose coming out of 4, and that has taken some momentum out of that Mellon machine.
All right, 15 laps through stage 1. We're going to take a quick 2-minute timeout. When we come back, we'll have more action from Nashville Superspeedway. Don't go anywhere.
Your home for all things sports in the Tennessee Mid-State is right here on MTN Sports. We give you a taste of everything that our area sports have to offer. Our video content is second to none, with award-winning shows like Blue Hitter Extra Point and live broadcasts of sports like MTSU Tennis. Whether it's announcing, anchoring, or social media, we've got a spot for you to join our team. MTN Sports, your ultimate mid-state sports hub. Hey, media superstars, are you looking to take the next huge step? The Middle Tennessee School of Journalism and Strategic Media is here to help you with classes and degrees in entertainment, investigative, advertising, sports, and more. From award-winning programs to award-winning professors, we give you everything you need to make your dreams a reality. The MTSU School of Journalism and Strategic Media. Inform, entertain, design, engage.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First, drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow, you sound just like him.
Then he said.
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips. Because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
What I know about courage.
Welcome back here to the Allegiance 200 at the Nashville Superspeedway. 20 laps complete through this 150-lap event, and Lane Riggs is dominating so far, over 2 seconds above Caden Honeycutt. That Front Row Motorsports Ford looking mighty strong so far tonight.
Yeah, and what's even more impressive, Lane Riggs dominating, but the fact that Honeycutt's been able to cut it down to a 2.2-second deficit because Jesse Love, Christian Eckes, and Gio Ruggiero rounding out the top 5, all down 5 or more seconds. So Lane Riggs just making mincemeat of the field right now in Nashville.
Ross Chastain still trying to pick his way through the field. He's gotten by Parker Retzlaff, trying to make a move to the inside of another truck and move his way up into the top 15, and he's able to complete the pass. Mostly single file so far. Trucks are pretty conservative for the most part as far as passing goes. We'll see if they kind of tighten up as time goes on. But right now, as we said, all Lane Riggs, and Chastain hoping to find his way up there soon enough. And one thing that you have to deal with as the leader is that at some point, especially with the smaller racetrack, you got to start dealing with lap traffic, as Riggs is doing right now.
Yeah, Riggs making a move on the number 33 car, heading into the backstretch and doing it about as textbook as you can. But like you mentioned, Dylan, when you get these big deficits, that's where you can get in trouble. And you see it a little bit more at some of the more higher bank tracks like Nashville's distant cousin, Dover Motor Speedway. That's where you really see that trouble with the high banking in Dover. A little bit easier to navigate here in Nashville, a little bit more calm into the turns, and an ability to find some grip on a higher line, or at least the aptitude of drivers in the rearview mirror getting out of the way for the leader.
Riggs just passed Frankie Muniz, who of course is the star of Malcolm in the Middle, which just recently had a revival. How about that? He's a TV show star, but he's also going out there racing NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series automobiles. I mean, that's pretty cool, I'd say.
Well, it's not just that for Frankie, but I mean, this is his thing now. He's pretty much full-time in the series, only missing one race this year at Watkins Glen due to a pre-made scheduling conflict. And so Frankie entering, I believe, his second year full-time in the Truck Series. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Dylan.
Yes.
But a guy that's certainly come out and punched above his weight compared to what some people across the industry thought at first.
And one more interesting tidbit tonight. Stephen Parsons is, of course, driving the Ford truck, and his spotter is rookie phenom in the Cup Series, Connor Zilic, who's getting a little bit of double duty this weekend. He's also the color analyst for the O'Reilly race tomorrow on the CW. So Connor with a jam-packed weekend and spotting for Stefan Parsons here tonight.
Yeah, busy man this week, as you said, but I think this is a really cool thing for Connor. It can give him a different perspective on things, especially at a track that you're going to race at in 2 days, that you're going to practice and qualify at tomorrow, weather permitting. Fingers crossed for everybody tomorrow between the O'Reilly's race and Cup regulars getting some rubber down, finding their lines before. But just for Connor, what a cool opportunity to help out a guy like Stefan.
You know, one thing I've noticed so far is that it seems like, and this makes sense for Nashville Superspeedway, the bottom line has been the preferred line all night. And it seems as though, and we'll see how this changes as more rubber is laid down, that's going to be the line that could win you the race here tonight in the Allegiance 200.
Yeah, I mean, that's the pretty typical line. We see some guys deviate from it a little bit. We've seen Lane Riggs kind of just do whatever he wants so far, trying to find where he's the fastest, and as that lead continues to grow, now up to a 2.8-second lead on Honeycutt in that Toyota number 11.
Oh, and we got a truck that makes contact on the front straightaway. That was Ben Rhodes, who got caught up with a 93 truck, and thankfully they didn't end up crashing, but those two collided and sideswiped each other right near the start-finish line.
And that's how quick these races can change, Dylan. I mean, they're spread out. A lot of cars, a car length or more away from others. But when they bunch up, especially when you're all gas and then getting into that braking zone, heading into one, you can feel that back end start to slide, especially now that we're 27 laps into a green flag run, you're going to start to see some wear on those tires.
Yeah, and we're starting to see some of that lap traffic come into play here, and some of these lead lap trucks are having some troubles getting by these guys, and that was pretty significant contact on Ben Rhodes. Not sure how much it's going to affect his truck as this night goes on, but it wasn't.
Smith still battling, heading into 3 side-by-side out of the backstretch. Rhodes getting a run on Smith, coming down in front of him, going up to half a car length. He slides up, and Smith comes underneath him, even going into the front stretch, and Smith going to get ahead. Quite the battle as we're getting a look at them bumping back in, and Rhodes looks like he came down, made contact with that lapped car as Rhodes back in front heading out of 2.
Yeah, and it was because they went 3 wide in that situation. I'm not sure the lap truck was expecting that, and that's where the contact was created. So good to see Ben Rhodes is still going. Of course, the 2-time Craftsman Truck Series champion, trying to maintain a good night so far. Currently in that 7th position, battling with Chandler Smith for 6th, and it looks like Smith will be able to clear him and take that 6th spot, Willie.
Yeah, Smith clear, heading down towards that apron, now past the line, got a little loose, heading into 1. Rhodes going to make up some ground, but Smith way ahead of him as he's taking a lower line, and Rhodes trying to work above him and find some grip. Smith moving up, heading into the back stretch to block Rhodes and coming onto some more lap traffic.
Of course, Ben Rhodes won the 2023 championship most recently in a dramatic Final Four. That was the year where Corey Heim and Carson Hocevar had some problems at what was then ISM Raceway, now Phoenix Raceway, and that allowed Ben Rhodes to capitalize and beat Grant Infinger to win the Craftsman Truck Series championship. Right now for Ben Rhodes, he's currently sitting at 6th in the point standings out of Louisville, Kentucky, racing for Thor Sport once again. Still looking for that first win of the year and trying to have a solid night here tonight.
And kind of looking down just throughout this field, guys really starting to spread out and trying to find some big movers. But guys pretty much settling into those spots. Riggs' lead continuing to grow, now up 3 seconds on Caden Honeycutt, 30 laps into the race.
Yeah, that lead continues to swell for Lane Riggs, and it doesn't seem like, at least early on, anybody has anything for him. But the thing about this race, Willie, is that as time goes on and these trucks get onto pit road, they'll be able to make some adjustments, and that's when, towards the middle part of the race, we could see some guys be able to find their way up towards Lane Riggs.
Well, we've seen plenty of races at tracks just like Nashville Super Speedway where the set of tires and how new versus how aged they are is what really comes down to this. So while Riggs is dominant now, while they're all on the same tire wear, if Riggs decides to stay out and someone with another fast truck decides to go in, gets a little bit more grip, that's where you can see that lead start to slip. But plenty of insurance right now with that lead way over 3 seconds.
Yeah, we've got about 12 laps to go in Stage 1, and you brought up strategy, and that's an important thing to keep in mind here tonight, Willie. When and if we have long green runs tonight, how big of a factor do you think that fuel strategy and using your resources correctly on pit road could come into play?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes straight down to just tires, and tires again. I mean, gas obviously going to impact you towards the end of the race if we get into a green flag run, but we've seen these guys getting aggressive on entry and exit of 4 and 2, specifically heading into the straightaways. And so I think if we see guys slip up, cause a not planned caution, that's going to change things.
All right, 35 laps through Stage 1. We're going to take a quick 2-minute timeout. When we come back, we'll bring you the rest of the way through the first stage at Nashville Superspeedway.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First, drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow, you sound just like him.
Then he said,
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips. Because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
What I know about courage.
Back here at Nashville Superspeedway in the Allegiance 200 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on the MTN Sports Network. Dylan Simmons and Willie Failer with you through 38 laps, 8 to go in stage number 1. It's been the Lane Riggs show so far. He has led every single lap and has a 4.5-second advantage over second place Caden Honeycutt.
Just ridiculous stuff out of Riggs, that number 34 Love's machine for Front Row Motorsports. He's just been insane so far tonight, building that deficit. But with 8 to go, going to bring the field back together, heading out of the caution. But Riggs lapping almost 15 cars by this point in the race. That's going to change a lot, and it's also going to change strategy for some guys, because you might have had the thought of taking a pit stop now, coming out of 1, but instead you might be tempted to go ahead and take that wave around to get back on the lead lap.
And it's going to be curious when we have that first pit stop. 4 tires, 2 tires. What are guys going to do? What sort of strategies will we see? We'll find that out shortly. Daniel Hemrick had a bit of a scary moment just a few moments ago. Went 3 wide going into turn number 1 and was in the middle of a 3-truck sandwich. Negotiated it well, but 3 wide here at Nashville Superspeedway, as we've said earlier tonight, it is not always the best proposition, Willie.
And Riggs about a full turn ahead of Honeycutt at this point, exiting 2 as Honeycutt went into 1. So ridiculous stuff from that man in the yellow machine right now, down to 6 to go. Getting a look at Raja Caruth coming out of 2, heading into the backstretch. Not the best night for him so far, still sitting outside of the top 10. But where it stands right now, Riggs in the lead, Honeycutt in second, Jesse Love manning third place, with Eckes and Ruggiero rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, Caruth currently in the 11th spot, trying to make up some ground. Lane Riggs going to the inside of yet another lap truck, trying to see if he can get clear, and he will just be able to. Actually, no, wasn't able to clear that lap truck as they go down into turn number 3. And again, being lapped versus not being lapped in this situation, it's critical because you completely change the dynamics of your race if you end stage 1 on the lead lap versus not on the lead lap, Willie.
And another big thing jumping out, looks like some trouble in 1 sliding. We'll try to get a number on that machine. But for Chandler Smith in the 38, jumping up 16 spots already through 41 laps with 4 to go here in stage 1.
Yeah, impressive stuff from Chandler Smith, currently listed in the 6th position. He'll try to make a run for the top 5 when stage 1 comes to an end. But the top 5 trucks have been pretty set so far tonight. Like you mentioned, Lane Riggs, Caden Honeycutt, Jesse Love, Christian Eckes, and Gio Ruggiero. We'll see, and we almost certainly will have no doubt that we will see some changes in those spots as stage 1 comes to an end, and we get those different strategies and adjustments made on these trucks as time goes on. But some of these lap trucks putting these leaders in somewhat hairy positions, but thankfully everybody's been able to negotiate it so far. Ty Majeski in a little bit of a tough spot to the outside as he comes down the front straightaway trying to get by Parker Retzlaff.
And that last time through, 4 Lane Riggs running into a little bit of trouble with Corey LaJoie in the number 10 truck for Colleague, cutting him off as Riggs tried to lap him, forcing him down onto the apron. We see guys go down to that apron in qualifying and practice quite a bit, but have not seen it too much tonight.
All right, 2 to go here in stage 1. That means that pit road is closed, so no one can make pit stops yet, as if they were probably going to anyway. But just an important note to keep in mind as Riggs comes around turns 3 and 4, and he will take the white flag for stage number 1 the next time he comes around. Still dominating on this front straightaway. He will cross the start-finish line, maybe looking to try to lap Spencer Boyd here in this final lap of the first stage and continue his domination on the night as he plunges into turn 2.
And Riggs making a move to the low side of Boyd, heading into the backstretch, has a run on him, and he will clear him effortlessly heading into 3.
It's been dominance for Lane Riggs so far. 2 wins on the season, came in tonight on the pole, and he has shown no signs of letting up on his dominant streak in this midpoint of the Craftsman Truck Series season. Green and white flag, Lane Riggs takes stage 1 here in the Allegiance 200 at Nashville Superspeedway. Honeycutt will be in second. Jesse Love will take third. Christian Eckes will be in fourth. And Gio Ruggiero in the 17 truck will round out the top 5 here in the Allegiance 200. And what a start. Every lap led and a stage 1 victory for Lane Riggs here, Willie.
Yeah, it's been Lane Riggs, a large gap, Caden Honeycutt, and then everybody else about half a mile behind. Credit to Honeycutt in that number 11 machine. Machine able to keep up that final time deficit down to 2.2 seconds, so cutting it a little bit here, but through after the first stage, 10 points goes to Lane Riggs, and you never know how important those points you're going to get as we get farther into the season.
Yeah, it could be the difference between winning or losing a championship. You never know, so critical to get those points for Riggs and all the other guys in Stage 1. Caution flag on the Speedway. We'll take a quick timeout, and we'll be back in 2 minutes here at the Allegiance 200 at the Nashville Superspeedway.
Smokey the Bear. Then you know why Smokey tells you when he sees you passing through. Remember, please be careful, it's the least that you can do.
After 80 years of learning his wildfire prevention tips, Smokey Bear lives within us all. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com, and remember,
only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, State Forester, and the Ad Council.
Talking to your kids about the dangers of vaping can be hard. Getting them to listen to hot gossip is easy. So here's some drama you could share with your kids. Dude, did you hear about Cassie and Jake? No, but did you hear that vaping can cause irreversible lung damage and nicotine affects brain development? Nuh-uh. You don't need to gossip if you want to have an open conversation about vaping. So if you want to get tips on when and how to talk to your kids, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First, drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow, you sound just like him.
Then he said,
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips. Because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back here at the Nashville Superspeedway for the Allegiance 200 in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series through Stage 1. It is all Lane Riggs in the Front Row Motorsports 34 Ford. He has led every lap so far and is looking to continue that dominance throughout the night. Yellow flag is out, and this caution is brought to you by the MTSU Charlie and Hazel Daniels Veterans Military Family Center. Support their mission to provide transition services for veterans and their families. Go to mtsu.edu/military for more information.
And just ridiculous stuff from Riggs. We talked about it for pretty much the entirety of the first stage, but now getting a look as everybody's bunched back together. Riggs lapping all the way up to the 23rd position. Corey LaJoie in that Tim Machine 23rd. And then in 22nd, kind of sitting on that last spot, Daniel Dye in the 20 Chevrolet, listed as 25 seconds behind him after that last green flag. So just Riggs has been very, very fast.
He has been ludicrously fast so far. Daniel Dye, of course, the last truck on the lead lap, so he is set for now. But another critical juncture in the race that we'll be keeping a close eye on here. These drivers are about to make their first trip down pit road. And, Willie, what do you do here in this situation?
I'm not sure because I'm not too aware of what the fuel windows are looking like. But getting a look down on pit road, quite a few teams getting ready as we've got a truck being pushed by one of the safety vehicles back onto pit lane, trying to get a look at who that is.
That is Luke Baldwin in the number 2 truck who's getting pushed by that tow truck down pit road. Obviously stalled out, and of course Luke had some troubles last weekend in Charlotte. Had all kinds of bad luck, ended up DNFing that race, and is now trying to get some power back, and it looks like he finally will after a little bit of a push down pit road.
And you hate to see some of those equipment issues arise here, but it hasn't been a great year for that number 2 regardless of who's been driving it. We've seen it passed around a little bit between Baldwin, Jason White, Clayton Green's name also thrown in that mix, but the two going to go ahead and pit off here And the only car on pit road right now.
Yeah, that was Clayton Green. My apologies. I was used to Baldwin driving it back to last weekend, so first instinct was to stay Luke Baldwin. So sorry, Clayton. He's the one driving the number 2 tonight, and he's getting some service on pit road as the drivers are just about set to come by. And, you know, Willie brought it up briefly, but fuel windows, not a huge point of concern so far. That may be more of a juncture to watch later on in this race as time continues on. But the thing about the Truck Series is the stages are not as long as in the other series, so fuel shouldn't be as much of a factor tonight, although we'll see as time goes on. And here they all come down to pit road. It's go time for these pit crews.
And I would assume that it's going to be 4 fresh tires and a big thing of gas. Looking at finding some numbers, that fuel window looking about 58 to 62 laps for most of these trucks, especially if you're more on the saving gasoline side. And Riggs going to go ahead and pull in to that bright yellow spot on the far right end of pit road. Looks like he's going to get 4 fresh ones, and majority of the field coming down. Raja Caruth coming down right now as well.
Yeah, he'll be closer towards the front of pit road as he makes his way towards that front pit stall. And like you said, 4 tires and fuel seems like it's the customary move at this point in time. And Lane Riggs
going to
will
win the race off pit road, as you said there, Dylan. And looks like behind him, everybody else going to file in. Caden Honeycutt, the second one off as well.
Christian Eckes moves up 1 spot on pit road, as does Brandon Jones. Big loser Jesse Love, he lost 5 positions on pit road, so not the stop that Jesse Love was looking for, and he's going to have to make his way up through the top 10 as this race continues on. By the way, this race off pit road sponsored by the MTSU Campus Recreation Center. With a variety of leisure and recreation activities, you always score big with MTSU Campus Rec. Visit today at 1848 Blue Raider Drive in Murfreesboro. We're going to take one more quick timeout. We'll be back in 1 minute for the restart of the Allegiance 200 in Stage 2 at Nashville. Hey, media superstars, are you looking to take the next huge step? The Middle Tennessee School of Journalism and Strategic Media is here to help you with classes and degrees in entertainment, investigative, advertising, sports, and more. From award-winning programs to award-winning professors, we give you everything you need to make your dreams a reality. The MTSU School of Journalism and Strategic Media. Inform, entertain, design, engage. Your home for all things sports in the Tennessee Mid-State is right here on MTN Sports. We give you a taste of everything that our area sports have to offer. Our video content is second to none, with award-winning shows like Blue Raider Extra Point and live broadcasts of sports like MTSU Tennis. Whether it's announcing, anchoring, or social media, we've got a spot for you to join our team. MTN Sports, your ultimate Mid-State sports hub. Back here at the Nashville Superspeedway, chaos on pit road just a few moments ago. Minnie Tyrell and Parker Retzlaff had a collision as Tyrell was exiting his pit, Retzlaff trying to enter his pit. Retzlaff got tagged and had to do his pit stop backwards in the stall, Willie. And Stuart Friesen, by the way, with a flat left front tire coming to pit road.
Yeah, Friesen having to come down now. Another truck out in front of him. Back to that incident between Minnie Tyrell and Retzlaff. Retzlaff coming in as Tyrell is stomping on it, coming out, and both of them at a sharp angle, putting Retzlaff backwards into his pit box and having to come out there. Ended up taking 4 and some fuel to get back out there as Friesen's getting that left front checked out right now.
Now, of course, this is only conjecture at this point, but I wonder how in the world he could have gotten a flat tire unless he ran over some debris or something in that situation.
Yeah, either that or maybe just a vibration he was feeling not on all the way, because you saw it pretty clear as day in that backstretch, just the full front bumper and even a little bit of that splitter just dragging on the concrete and sending up sparks.
By the way, Retzlaff is back on pit road. It looks like they are assessing some of that damage on the left rear, I'd imagine, and that could be costly. I'm sure they're going to have to pull out that fender a little bit just to make sure that he's okay. And curiously, haven't seen Minnie Tyrell back on pit road, so his damage may not be as significant as Retzlaff's, but still something to keep an eye on here.
And now look back to Friesen, got the hood up and trying to pull down towards that fender. Might be a little bit more of an internal issue as Retzloff pulls off. Retzloff definitely taking more damage, like you said, than Tyrell did, because Tyrell's just looks like his front grille, but it might have gotten a little bit of that corner panel for Retzloff, which with, you know, the downforce that these guys have coming in and out of the turns, that can cost you some serious time.
It certainly can. And how about this bad break? Both of the Halmer Friesen trucks involved in, well, I'm not going to call them complete incidents, but having problems under this caution. Both of them 62 and 52. 62 with left rear damage, and Friesen, of course, having to go under the hood.
Yeah, certainly some issues, and extending this caution as well. 8 laps down already in Stage 2, up to 53 laps total, and kind of just looking at a run-through of that field. Top 10, some familiar faces, Lane Riggs and Caden Honeycutt out in front, Christian Eckes and Brandon Jones 3-4, Infinger, Gray, Chandler Smith, Jesse Love, Gio Ruggiero, and Jake Garcia rounding out the top 10. And don't look now, but in 11th place, the Melon Man's coming.
Oh,
Ross
boy.
Chastain in that 45 machine.
Yeah, Ross Chastain, we talked about it, had to start way back towards 25th, already up to 11th, been making his way up through the pack. He could be a contender late in this race. We'll keep an eye as time goes on here in stage number 2, as it looks like the caution lights are off the truck, and we should be set for green flag racing here in stage number 2. It'll be Lane Riggs on the first row to the inside, Caden Honeycutt to his outside, as they get ready to enter the Echo Park Automotive restart zone.
And going to be big for Riggs here to get another good jump. That was pretty paramount in building the lead that he had early. Riggs down on the inside, throws the gas, gets a push from behind, and out in front early as they take the green flag.
Green flag back out in stage number 2, and Lane Riggs is a rocket. He's able to clear the field easily as he dives down into turns 1 and 2. Look at the move to the inside being made by Raja Karuth.
And a lot of 3 wides heading out of 2. They are bunched together in this stage racing, pretty much proving the point NASCAR had in implementing it. Riggs out in front, but a lot of traffic heading into 3 and 4 as well.
They are still 2 and 3 wide back there. We got a truck in the wall, and I believe that might be Friesen that backed into the turn 4 safer barrier. No, that is the number 42 truck, and we have our second caution of the night.
And some big damage to the back of that truck. That spoiler down as Tyler Reif going up into the wall after losing control. And you can see in the bed, along with the backside of the bumper, all mangled up.
Yeah, Tyler Reif with some significant damage to that back end. We'll try to see on the replay in just a moment what exactly happened in turn number 4. But, Willie, you talked about it. They were getting aggressive on that restart.
So Reif trying to sandwich between going 3 wide, came up on the 4 truck a little bit and completely lost the back end, ended up right smack dab in the middle of the Nashville turn 4 logo, and that's going to kill the back end of that truck.
Yeah, he was in the middle of 3 wide between himself, Dawson Sutton, and Stephon Parsons, and made contact with Parsons, couldn't save the truck, got loose over there in turn number 4. And that is, yeah, some pretty significant damage towards that back end. Probably not race-ending damage, but it's certainly going to be a lot of work for those guys.
Close to it. Going to take quite a bit of duct tape for that truck. You can see, looking down at pit road, some crew members holding up the sheet metal covering the bed of the truck. So going to take a lot of teamwork to get the 42 back out in timely fashion.
First caution for incident tonight, and it's Tyler Reif backing into the outside wall. 56 complete here at Nashville. We'll be back in 2 minutes right here on the MTN Sports Network.
You can't escape a traffic jam. Know what else you can't escape? Seasonal allergies. And you might think you can avoid that coffee stain until... Oh, really? You can't escape a lot of things in life, but you can escape prediabetes. Prediabetes captures 1 in 3 adults. There are usually no signs of prediabetes. In fact, most people don't even know they have it. But with early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Take action by taking the 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. You might not be able to escape having this song stuck in your head, but you can escape prediabetes. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to great things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisisfreeretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Talking to your kids about the dangers of vaping can be hard.
Welcome back here to the Nashville Superspeedway. 57 laps complete, 38 to go in stage number 2. Under caution after an incident with Tyler Reif in the 42 truck, and he has officially gone behind the wall, so his night might be at an end as he makes his way back to the garage area. One guy who was pretty lucky in that incident, though, Willie, Stefan Parsons, who made contact with Reif, but able to get out of that pretty clean overall. Not a lot of damage, and he should be able to keep going.
Yeah, Parsons got lucky, was able to punch it as Reif came loose and ended up back in that wall. And kind of just going back to that damage on Reif's number 42, it's going to be shocking if we see him back out here tonight. Pretty severe. The bottom top sheet metal on the bed that's pretty big of the airflow for these trucks, all bent up. So even if we're going to be able to get him back out there, it's not going to be the same machine that he once had.
Yeah, I'd say it'll be closer towards the end of the race. We're taking a look at Parsons' truck right now, and yeah, pretty much spot-free even after that small bit of contact. Of course, we saw the incident with Stuart Friesen earlier on, and he had the issues with the tire and then the seeming vibration. Parsons currently behind Rajah Caruth in the running order. That restart, though, was pure chaos, Willie. You were talking about it. 2 and 3 wide. I think that shows that the aggressiveness is going up a notch here as this race continues on.
Guys starting to settle in, guys getting some adjustments, and so we see the field clumped a little bit more together off that restart compared to the first one, and that led to a little bit more chaos. But for Parsons, getting yet another look at that incident might have been a little bit of good luck from his spotter, Connor Zilic, tonight.
Yeah, and you saw Caruth on the inside, or we saw Caruth on the inside on the replay. I'm not going to say that he meant to crowd Reif, but there was a little less space than I'm sure he would have liked, and it almost seemed as though that Reif may have backed out of the throttle a little bit, may have gotten his truck loose, and then, yeah, the significant contact to the outside wall, the deck lid on that truck detaching as they get ready for the choose rule. Like we said before, Willie, I think the inside lane would be the preferred lane in this situation.
It's certainly been the one for Lane Riggs. Both restarts so far tonight, it's been like a rocket shot out of a cannon. And some other notable guys choosing to go down low. You see Ross Chastain in that watermelon-themed truck decide to go down. Getting a look at Stuart Friesen, who's had some trouble. Got up to as high as 17th after starting 24th, and now 20th after that trouble with the flat tire. Going to be a big bounce back stage for him trying to pilfer through this crowd.
Pretty impressive that he's still on the lead lap even after all the issues that he went through. So impeccable job by Stuart Friesen's crew to get him back out there on the racetrack. Of course, Stuart is part owner of his Halmar Friesen racing team, and his guys doing a good job getting him back out there for this restart. And that flat tires, we're looking at a replay, apparently started in turn number 2. He had to drag that thing pretty much through the entirety of the racetrack.
And that might have been why we saw his crew have that hood up as they're getting ready to come to the restart zone, having to bang in the inside of Friesen's car. We'll see if that helps as Riggs into the throttle for the third time tonight. A little bit more coming from the outside lane, but Lane Riggs clear by a car length at the checkered line.
Jake Garcia trying to make a move to the inside, and they're 3 wide once again going into turns 1 and 2, Willie. This is going to get tight.
And they're stacked back 3 wide as well on that 3 wide, so 3 rows of 3, getting pretty chaotic. We see some guys getting loose heading out of 2.
Caden Honeycutt.
Riggs losing it to Honeycutt, as you said, Dylan.
Yes, Caden Honeycutt to the outside of Riggs. Riggs, though, back down on the inside, and that dominant speed working as there's a caution now. We got a truck around in turn number 3. That is the number 25 with some major damage. Carson Ferguson's back end, all bent up.
And for Ferguson, a tough break there, driving the 25 Ford Colleague. Just his second start in the Truck Series so far this year. And a little bit backwards as the MS getting out there. And all prayers up for the 25 team right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what caused that accident. That's actually way back over in turn number 2. Thought it was turn 3. It's actually turn number 2 where that incident took place, and that was well after the leaders had already gotten past that point. So I wonder if this was a single truck incident. Sure seems that way, and we'll try to find out on a replay here in just
Definitely
a bit.
some contact with the wall as they're trying to hook it up to the tow truck right now. The side facing the cameras we've got access to makes the left side of the car look pretty clean, but that right side that I'm going to assume banged up into the wall, you can see sheet metal poking all over the place.
So we went the entirety of stage 1 without a caution for cause, and within the last, 5-6 laps or so, we've gotten 2 crashes in a very short amount of time as we take a look at the replay, keeping an eye on that 25 truck. Oh yeah, he just gets loose on that outside lane.
It looks like he might have had some help from behind, some dirty air being pushed onto that corner panel, helping him get loose. But like you said, Dylan, 16 laps through stage 2. Would you like to guess how many caution laps we have seen?
I'm going to say somewhere around 12.
13.
Wow, that was actually pretty close.
Now 14 as Riggs takes yet another lap led, and for him up to 62 of 62 so far tonight. 150 laps in total in this race. 17 out of 50 gone in stage 2. Lane Riggs dominating so far tonight. Caden Honeycutt, Christian Eckes, Chandler Smith, and Brandon Jones entering the top 5 for the first time tonight.
But you know, it was interesting watching back that restart. Honeycutt was able to hang with him for just a little bit. Had some success on that outside lane coming off of turn number 2, at least for a small amount of time before Riggs was able to take it back in turns 3 and 4. But I'm going to be curious to see if Honeycutt will be able to replicate that as this stage 2 continues on.
And we saw Honeycutt find a little bit of a run on the high side, and that's where you're going to have to go if you want to beat Riggs tonight, because we saw him work all over the place in about the first 25 laps of stage 1, but now is definitely settled into that bottom line, finding a lot more grip there. As you can see, the rubber's starting to get laid down in that lane darken here in Nashville.
Through 18 laps here in stage number 2, and of course, as has been customary so far in this race, it will be Lane Riggs and Caden Honeycutt who will be on the front row to restart. They are still attending to the Carson Ferguson truck on the apron of turn number 2, and I think, as we expected, Willie, that one's going to have to go on either a tow truck or a record before they can get it out of here.
Yeah, certainly some issues for Ferguson. Still trying to get a look at the damage on the far side of that car after running up into the wall. But looking through the field, outside the top 5, Grant Enfinger in the 9 machine in 6th place. Jake Garcia 7th. Tanner Gray is 8th. Ross Chastain inside the top 10. The Watermelon Man starting to really make a run, that 45 up to 9th. Gio Ruggiero falling down. We saw him run in the top 5 for the entirety of stage 1, falling all the way back to 10th after the 2 restarts. William Sololich in 11th. Jesse Love falling down to 12th. Daniel Hemrick settling in the 13th. Raja Karuth behind him in 14th, and then Ty Majeski, the Truck Series regular, in 15th.
Yeah, of course, Ty Majeski, the 2024 Craftsman Truck Series champion, mired back in the top 15 right now, trying to make his way through. Jesse Love having some struggles right now outside of the top 10, and much like Gio Ruggiero was able to run in the top 5 for most of stage 1, but now mired back in traffic, and I think that shows really that some of the adjustments that these guys made on pit road are starting to pay dividends.
Yeah, and you're starting to see also the guys that haven't been able to make those adjustments, more fallers we had mentioned in that top 15, but Ben Rhodes sliding down the 20th, Retzloff back in 21st as you get closer down to the guys a lap down. Justin Haley sitting as the lucky dog right now, 24th down a lap, and then all the way back to 32nd, and Spencer Boyd down 2, and then Ferguson, Reif, and Clayton Green all down 4 or more.
They've been able to get Ferguson's truck taken away from turn number 2. We're going to take a quick 1-minute timeout. When we come back, we'll get set for the restart here in Stage 2 in the Allegiance 200.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump on the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough. But if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back here to Nashville Superspeedway on a Friday night, a late night for NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Racing. Dylan Simmons, Willie Failer, our producer Kendall Davis, all with you tonight. 65 laps have elapsed, and we've got 30 to go in stage number 2. We expect it to be around 27, 28 to go when we resume green flag racing here at the Nashville Superspeedway. And if you're just joining us, it has been the Lane Riggs show tonight. He has led every lap so far and has used his dominant track position to maintain his advantage.
Yeah, we've seen Riggs growing out to over a 4-second lead to Caden Honeycutt, who spent the entire race in second place, and Honeycutt been the only guy to really even try to keep it within 5 seconds of Riggs. So a heck of a night for the young man in the 34 machine for Front Row Motorsports so far tonight. But not only looking at Riggs as a dominance, but just the chaoticness so far here in stage 2, because majority completely green stage 1, and then since then, of the 21 laps we've run in stage 2, as they get to the choose cone now, 18 of those 21 laps have been under yellow.
And, of course, Lane Riggs and Caden Honeycutt top 2 in the Craftsman Truck Series standings. Riggs won his 6th career race earlier this season at St. Petersburg before winning at Charlotte last weekend. So it's shown that Lane Riggs can win on a variety of different tracks. He is a very versatile driver. Caden Honeycutt, though, former winner at Watkins Glen earlier this season, very much the same. Top 2 in points, top 2 tonight. We'll see who gets the advantage on this restart.
And the top 4 making their choices as expected. Riggs going to the inside with Honeycutt to his outside. Ecke's going to be pushing Riggs, and then behind Honeycutt will be Chandler Smith, a guy that's had a really fast truck so far tonight, a big mover after starting in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye as well on Christian Eckes. He's a guy who made a pretty good march to the front in the middle part of the race at Charlotte last weekend in the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 as they get set to go into the Echo Park Automotive Restart Zone, Willie.
That pace truck going down Riggs into the restart zone as you said, getting a big push from behind, clearing Honeycutt at the line, and Riggs back out in front. Not a good start for Honeycutt. He's behind Eckes already into 1.
Yeah, Eckes gave a big shove to Lane Riggs, and he rockets to the front through turn number 2 as they're going 2 and 3 wide back in the pack once again, and it's Honeycutt to the inside of Eckes fighting for second.
Honeycutt getting a good run off of 2, but so did Lane Riggs. He's going to take advantage of these two fighting as Honeycutt clears, coming into 4, slides up the track, as does everyone else finding that groove. Riggs coming to the line, leading yet again with a battle for second.
Stuart Friesen is in the middle of 3 wide, back in the pack. Jake Garcia and Ben Rhodes also in the midst of that, but out front it is Lane Riggs, ultra dominant. Eckes back to the outside or the inside of Caden Honeycutt fighting for second.
And Honeycutt starting to slide up the track.
We got a crash.
Trouble, the 98 and the 77. Ben Rhodes, I believe.
That is Jake Garcia, who was in the wall. And like you said, the 77 of Jesse Love also pinched toward the outside wall. They were back in the middle of traffic, and it ended up costing them the 15 truck of Tanner Gray also with damage.
And Gray with smoke coming behind him. Garcia's 98, that corner panel on the back left side all the way up. His back bumper completely up. You can see a lot of the undercarriage. Some big damage for both Gray and Garcia.
Well, we said it. The action and intensity had ramped up with these guys, and we get yet another caution, this one up towards turn number 2. It looks like at least 3 trucks involved. We'll see if there's any more, but certainly looks like Garcia got the worst of it. But Tanner Gray with some pretty significant damage as he rolls onto pit road.
Gray and Garcia both now down into the pits as Gray keeps going. You can see the smoke trail behind him as Jake Garcia's crew is assessing the damage and watching Gray's number 15 kind of piddle down pit road. Not a great look for the future of that truck.
Yeah, Garcia backed into the outside wall like a few different trucks we've seen tonight. Jesse Love with absolutely nowhere to go on that outside. And, of course, Tanner Gray, kind of just an innocent bystander, sustained pretty severe left side damage. Those 3 trucks are going to be in a world of hurt at least throughout the rest of the night, but I'm not sure that Garcia is going to be able to continue.
And right now getting a look at what Gray's crew is doing in the pit box. Mostly damage to that back left driver's side, and same for Garcia, although his a lot worse, including that top sheet on the bed.
Yeah, 3-truck incident over towards turn number 2. Of course, the caution is back out once again. And it's worth mentioning again, through stage 1, had no incidents for cause, and we're up to now 3 and probably about 10 or 15 laps all of a sudden here in stage number 2. But it almost feels like you have to race with that kind of aggressiveness right now, especially considering how spread out everyone got towards that late part of stage 1.
Well, I think like you said, Dylan, that's the exact reason as guys saw that you've got to make your move quick. You've got to be aggressive early in these green flag runs. But the other thing, as these yellow flags keep coming out, we're over halfway through the second stage. It's going to set these guys up very well with their strategy to try to keep this at a 2-stop race, as we see a saw and some sparks to Jake Garcia's 98 truck.
Yeah, they are doing some heavy carpentry work on that left rear right now. Same goes for Tanner Gray in that 15 truck. One guy that I want to shout out in that incident, Frankie Muniz, he was in the grass on the inside of turn number 2, almost was sliding his way through that second corner and somehow got through that incident without any more trouble. And really, we should give a shout out to all the drivers because, let's be honest, Willie, that could have been a lot worse than what it was.
Yeah, really. And just get a moment to look at the rest of the field. Honeycutt finally out of second place for a restart. It will be Eckes taking over the second place, Infinger into the top 5. And he's still coming slowly but surely. Ross Chastain, the Cup Series regular, now up to 7th place. And another guy to watch, Raja Caruth, inside the top 10 for the first time tonight, the number 7 car in 9th place.
Yeah, Ross Chastain slowly but surely making his way up through the field and doing a pretty good job of doing so far. And you talked about Christian Eckes. We said he's got a pretty strong truck and has been known to make his way from the middle part of the top 10 in some of these races to be a contender late, and the Middletown, New York native has done that so far, driving for McAnally Hilgeman Racing and driving a Chevrolet tonight. Still looking for his first win of the season, but Eckes looking strong, and of course he's got 9 career Truck Series wins, looking to get number 10 here tonight.
Yeah, fairly experienced guy behind the wheel, especially in these trucks. That's something that it's very widely split in this field, Dylan, is there's a lot of guys that have been running these trucks since you and me can remember, your Stuart Friesens of the world, but then you've got a lot of newer names, Caden Honeycutt kind of bursting out onto the scene, and then you have your Cup Series guys, your O'Reilly Series guys bumping down, your Ross Chastains, your Raja Caruths, your William Sawoliches of the world. It's such a mixed bag, and that's such a big part of why the Craftsman Truck Series is pure chaos some days.
Well, and I'll tell you, as far as tonight goes, the top 5 right now are all Craftsman Truck Series regulars. So the truck guys who race in the usual truck races are having their success so far tonight. And it's been all Lane Riggs so far. He's led every lap. There's 23 to go here in stage number 2. We'll take a quick 2-minute timeout. When we come back, we'll have more racing in the Allegiance 200 at Nashville Superspeedway.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow on his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump on the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough. But if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
Welcome back here to Nashville Superspeedway. Under caution for a 3-truck incident just a few moments ago, and trying to get this Stage 2 resumed with Lane Riggs, Caden Honeycutt, and Christian Eckes out in front. Yellow Flag is brought to you by the MTSU Charlie and Hazel Daniels Veterans Military Family Center. Support their mission to provide transition services for veterans and their families.
And getting a look at these leaderboards here during this caution, looking at the top speeds, or the best speeds for a lap, Lane Riggs, the only driver in the field for that best speed to eclipse 160 miles an hour up to 160.7. And behind him in the rest of the top 10, following not so close. You get 159 from Caden Honeycutt, but everyone else 157 or below, and even see some 155s put up by Ross Chastain in 7th. Raja Caruth down under 154 in 9th place. So Lane Riggs, flat out, has been faster than everyone else so far today.
He has simply outrun everybody so far here on the concrete. Two guys to keep an eye on, though, on this restart that aren't on the front row, Chandler Smith and Ross Chastain. Those have been the two guys who have been gradually making their way through the field, and if that speed continues, they may have something for Riggs as this race continues on, but we'll find out as they get set to head into the Echo Park Automotive Restart Zone, and no surprise, it'll be Riggs on the inside, Christian Eckes in second on the outside. Honeycutt's on the inside of row 2 this time. We'll see if that plays a role here, Willie.
First time we've seen Honeycutt having to push somebody. Riggs getting up to the restart zone, down on the inside once again, punching the gas across the line. Riggs out in front by a full car. He's clear of the 91 heading into 1.
He gets such a good start off those restarts every single time as they fan out towards turn number 1. Couple trucks 2 and 3 wide, back a few rows.
And Riggs already up by multiple car lengths into the backstretch. Looks like Eckes settling in behind him, but Honeycutt coming up the challenge for second place. 3 wide heading into 3 yet again, stacked back 3 times.
Honeycutt trying to go to the outside of Eckes, look to try a crossover move as they continue to go 3 wide coming out of turn number 4 about mid-pack, but it's Lane Riggs in full control right now as they fan out down the front stretch.
It looks like Riggs already up by well more than half a second. He's blowing this field away after that restart.
We almost had a truck spin out there towards the back of the pack. Looks like he's able to save it. I believe that was Raja Caruth who was trying to keep his truck under control and was just barely able to with Grant Infinger to his outside.
Up to 31 laps in Stage 2, 29 to go, and Lane Riggs crossing the line way out in front of everyone else. The number 91 machine securely into second place behind Riggs.
Yeah, Christian Eckes has established himself firmly in that second position. Stuart Friesen in the middle of 3 wide going into turn number 1, trying to keep that truck under him as Stefan Parsons goes to his inside, but Lane Riggs already with probably a half a second gap over second place Christian Eckes.
And we might see a caution coming out here soon. Dylan, the number 98, Jake Garcia, back out there, and some debris out into the front stretch, sitting right after the dog leg, right in front of the Coca-Cola NASCAR salutes. And just like that, another yellow. That would be the 5th of this stage 2.
Good call there, partner. Garcia coming back on the racetrack, and there was a big piece of debris that, well, somebody may have already run over at this point in time right there on the front straightaway. And that sometimes happens with these damaged trucks. They try to make their way through, and if a part isn't securely fastened, this is sometimes the result.
And that's certainly happening to Garcia. We got a shot of the debris down onto the blacktop now on that lip of the track, but Garcia still some parts flapping in the wind off that back bumper. Wouldn't be shocked to see that 98 forced back down into the pits.
And it's funny, just as it looked like we may be able to have a solid green flag run here, we get a piece of debris that stalls the momentum here in stage number 2. That's going to set us up in a very interesting position, Willie, because when we get restarted, it'll probably be somewhere around 8 or 9 laps to go in stage number 2, which means the aggressiveness, which is already at a pretty big high, is only going to continue to uptick here at Nashville Superspeedway.
Yeah, up to lap 34 of stage 2, looking at 15 to go right now. And like you said, we'll probably be close to 10, if not less, when we come back. And Garcia, in fact, going back down pit road now. And that number 98 truck moving real low and slow right now, doing his best Ramon impression.
That's a good reference there, partner. And it looks like it's the right rear quarter panel that's been pretty much detached from that truck.
I was going to say there is no right rear corner panel anymore. It's just rods.
Yeah, and he's going to be making his way back to the garage. So, in a way, you got to salute him and the team for trying to get his truck back out there. As we see, Cole Butcher is also on pit road, trying to get some stuff assessed in this situation. Looks like he'll get off of there without issue. But, again, you understand Garcia going back out in that position, but unfortunately, this is the incidental consequence of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, when you're Garcia in a caution comes without any real incident, just parts flying off, you don't have much of a choice. And if you're going to have the gumption to try to stay out there, NASCAR is going to shut that down real quick.
Well, it's going to get interesting when we restart stage number 2 here in just a few minutes. The Allegiance 200 is 80 laps complete. Lane Riggs on top, Christian Eckes in second, Caden Honeycutt third, Chandler Smith fourth, Ross Chastain now in the top 5. We'll see what the Mellon Man and everyone else has for Lane Riggs when we come back in 2 minutes on the MTN Sports Network to Nashville Superspeedway.
You can't escape a traffic jam. Know what else you can't escape? Seasonal allergies. And you might think you can avoid that coffee stain until... Oh, really? You can't escape a lot of things in life, but you can escape prediabetes. Prediabetes captures 1 in 3 adults. There are usually no signs of prediabetes. In fact, most people don't even know they have it. But with early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Take action by taking the 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. You might not be able to escape having this song stuck in your head, but you can escape prediabetes. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to great things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisisfreeretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Talking to your kids about the dangers of vaping can be hard. Getting them to listen to hot gossip is easy. So here's some drama you could share with your kids. Dude, did you hear about Cassie and Jake? No, but did you hear that vaping can cause irreversible lung damage and nicotine affects brain development? Nuh-uh. You don't need to gossip if you want to have an open conversation about vaping. So if you want to get tips on when and how to talk to your kids, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
This is the Allegiance 200 on the MTN Sports Network live at Nashville Superspeedway. Dylan Simmons and Willie Thaler bringing you stage 2 of tonight's action. And we just saw some curious stuff on pit road a second ago. Rajah Caruth and Ross Chastain both on pit road, maybe trying to short pit stage number 2. And I think at least in our own hypothesis, trying to set themselves up well for stage 3, right?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. Down to 12 to go, heading to that stage 2 break. So I think this is an opportunity for both of them to try to find some long runs, or at least 2 different short run speeds. Gio Ruggiero going to get flagged for too fast entering pit road. Another guy that went down alongside Chastain and Carruth, so that'll be a pass-through penalty for the 17, and so trying to play strategy there, not working out for Ruggiero, but for Chastain and Carruth, going to give them an opportunity to work through this field with some newer tires, and you might see them, if they're able to work their way back up, go ahead and double pit.
Yeah, that very well could be the case here. And it's going to be interesting to see, like you mentioned, how their 4 tires, their 4 fresh tires, will compare with everyone else who's still out there on their older stuff. Andres Perez making his way off of pit road as well. And got to say, that's a gut punch for Gio Ruggiero, too fast entering pit road. You got to be careful sometimes, though, especially here with the way the apron is aligned here at the Nashville Superspeedway. If you take it at the wrong angle, you can find yourself in a situation just like that.
And looking down on the track right now, pace truck still out there. Pit road closed as well, Dylan.
We're going to have 1 to go when they come by this time, and we'll get set for the choose rule once again. And big shocker, it's going to be Lane Riggs on the inside.
And Honeycutt going to be pushing him from behind and trying to get a look and see how far those guys that pit fell. Chastain back to 17th. Ruggiero listed as 16th. Going to fall with that pass-through penalty. And Rajah Carruth, one of the slower pit stops we saw, he drops all the way down to 17th. Things settling back in. Chastain going to bump up to 16th after Ruggiero going to slide back to 22nd. The second to last car on the lead lap. And the lapped cars all the way up to 24th. Mini Tyrell sitting as the lucky dog right now in 24th. But Tyrell, Wright, Muniz, and plenty others down 1. And Boyd in 29th and back are 2 or more with Garcia, Green, Gray, Love, and Ferguson and Rife probably out of this race for the foreseeable future.
It'll be lap 40 of stage 2 when we come back. And although we've had some chaotic restarts so far, this may be the most chaotic because you got some guys with fresh tires and some out there with old worn tires. We're going to see how that'll play out as they get set to head into the Echo Park Automotive Restart Zone.
Riggs coming to line with 12 to go, looking to see him shoot out of that cannon once again. Gets a push from Honeycutt, and the best restart yet. Way clear of everyone. Riggs heading into turn 1, and a little bit of movement. 3 wide for second, heading into 1.
Chandler Smith to the outside of Eckes and Honeycutt. They're still 3 wide going into turn number 2, and it looks like Smith is going to clear Eckes. It's Honeycutt up to second.
And Honeycutt out in front in second place. As you said, Riggs lead continuing to go 3 wide back for around 8th, coming into 3 as Riggs leads the way into 4, passing that restart zone once again.
Ty Majeski was on the outside of that 3 wide. They maintain that 3 wide coming out of turn number 4, but Lane Riggs, ultra dominant, once again just shoots out of that restart zone, and he's already put a good quarter second between himself and Caden Honeycutt.
Looking back deeper into the field, a lot of pushing going around on the front stretch. Parsons falling back, taking the high line. Carruth underneath him, going to make that pass for some positioning back into the field.
Whoa, a truck just got bumped well to the inside. I thought for a second it was going to go in the grass. Everybody stays straight, but obviously the aggressiveness continues to tick up as they make their way out through turn 4. They're going to be 3 wide with Stephon Parsons in the middle.
And everyone's starting to fan out a little bit, but 3-4 wide on the apron. That's a recipe for trouble.
It certainly is a recipe for trouble. Everybody stays straight for now, but you got to be careful going 3 or 4 wide into turn number 1 here at the narrow Nashville Superspeedway. Lane Riggs continuing to maintain his dominance. Honeycutt has just about separated himself from Chandler Smith over in 3rd. Christian Eckes currently in 4th. It's single file for about the first 12 trucks, but then it's kind of chaotic after that.
8 to go as Riggs heads into turn 1, out by over a second and a half over Honeycutt. His dominance continuing here as we get towards the end of stage 2, and just more jockeying for position deep into the pack. 3 wide coming out of 2 as Riggs heads into 3.
Mini Tyrell was in the middle of a 3 wide sandwich coming out of turn number 2, able to get through it okay. He's now to the outside of Cole Butcher, trying to fight for that lucky dog position towards the middle of the pack, Willie.
Smith working up to third, as you said. Eckes back to fourth, Infinger in fifth, with Ben Rhodes making a big jump up to sixth place.
Yeah, Ben Rhodes has been fighting that truck all night, was outside the top 10, but has put himself firmly in the 8th position right now, or the 6th position, I should say, trying to make his way up through the field. And starting to fan out a little bit as we get towards the end of this stage. We'll see how aggressive it gets.
And Ross Chastain up 6 positions already after that early pit stop. Chastain into 10th. A couple other names into the top 10 for the first time tonight. Daniel Dye in 7th. Ty Majeski in 8th. And Daniel Hemrick back into the top 10 at 9.
Dawson Sutton in the middle of 3 wide with Andres Perez and Parker Retzlaff. They're able to sort that out going down into turn number 1. It's pretty fair towards the front of the pack, but still chaotic in that middle of the pack spot here at Nashville Superspeedway as these guys, again, try to fight to stay on the lead lap.
Riggs into the front straightaway past the restart zone. 5 to go in stage 2 as the 34 takes the flag way out in front of Honeycutt in second place.
Yeah, 5 to go here in stage number 1, and Riggs with nobody near him right now, trying to get his second stage win of the night, trying to get his 3rd win of the season, and back-to-back victories here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series as William Sawalich trying to go to the inside of the 10 truck coming out of turn number 2.
And the early pits working out so far. Chastain and Carruth working up. Chastain in 10th, 7 seconds behind the leader. Carruth a place behind him in 11th in the 7 car.
And that's an interesting thing to note, Willie, because that means those 4 fresh tires could be something to keep in mind late in this race. If we have a late race restart, could be the difference between winning and losing as Lane Riggs continues to dominate this pack. Now has probably a 1.5 second advantage over Caden Honeycutt.
And Chastain, Carruth in 10th, trying to chase down Daniel Hemrick, the 19 in 9th place, but Chastain over a second behind him with 4 to go. Lane Riggs coming around, taking it down to 3.
3 to go for Lane Riggs, trying to get his second stage win of the day as they continue to fight for position back around 15th or 16th place. Parker Retzlaff trying to make a move to the inside of Sawalich. Stephon Parsons might be trying to take it 3 wide, and he is.
Parsons dipping down towards the apron, 3 wide into 1, as you said, and Parsons going to come out on top, trying to clear heading into 2, into the backstretch, but not going to be easy with a fight from the outside lane.
That was a heck of a power move by Stephon Parsons, but still fighting for position back there on the outside as it'll be 2 to go for Lane Riggs here in stage 2 as he crosses the start-finish line.
And Riggs cleanly through 1, now to 2 onto the backstretch. His deficit over Honeycutt up to a 1.5 seconds.
Lane Riggs has led every single lap tonight. Has
all
been
93.
Yes, all 93. He's been ultra dominant, and he's trying to take yet another stage victory right here as he comes down. When he gets to the start-finish line, he'll see the final lap in stage 2.
Honeycutt following in behind him. Smith in 3rd with Heckes following behind in 4th. Those 4, the ones to watch here in stage 2, but it's going to be hard to catch Riggs in a lap and a half.
Grant Infinger has made his way into the top 5, now resting solely in the 5th position. Ben Rhodes as well, cracking on the door of the top 5 in the 6th spot. Ross Chastain now in the top 10 in the 10th spot, as it'll be Lane Riggs coming around turn number 4 with an easy advantage. He'll take the second stage and continue his dominance here tonight.
And Riggs with a chance to get that lead lap number 95. So some real Lightning McQueen stuff from number 34 so far tonight. Coming out of 2, slowing down a little bit, but onto the backstretch and the gas.
Well, it's been the Lane Riggs Show here at Nashville Superspeedway so far. No one has had anything for the 34 truck here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway. We'll see if that dominance continues as we get set for the final stage here at the 1 1/mile third racetrack in the concrete, Nashville Superspeedway. Back in 2 minutes for the Allegiance 200 here on the MTN Sports Network.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to great things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisisfreeretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Smokey the Bear. Then you know why Smokey tells you when he sees you passing through. Remember, please be careful, it is the least that you can do. Don't play with matches, don't play with fire.
After 80 years of learning his wildfire prevention tips, Smokey Bear lives within us all. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com. And remember,
Only you can prevent wildfires.
brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, State Forester, and the Ad Council.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First, drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow, you sound just like him.
Then he said.
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips. Because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back for the Allegiance 200 at Nashville Superspeedway. A late Friday night, but we're glad to be here with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Willie, it has been a fun race so far, and it has been Lane Riggs dominant so far tonight. He's led all the laps and also has both Stage 1 and Stage 2 victories so far in this 200-mile event.
Yeah, I was going to say you led off with it's been a fun race, and it's certainly been a fun race for Lane Riggs. Up to 97 laps led, winning both stages, and only the second driver in the Craftsman Truck Series so far this year to win both stages, the other being Kyle Busch back at Dover on May 15th.
One thing to keep an eye on as we get set for pit stops is that some of the guys that we talked about towards the end of Stage 2 pitted before the stage came to an end and were able to make up some pretty heavy positions. So the question is, if you're a guy like Ross Chastain, Rajah Caruth, either in the top 10 or knocking on the door of top 10 positions, do you consider double pitting here and going back to pit road to take the tires, or do you work for track position and go for the lead here in Stage 3?
It's really hard to say, Dylan, especially with where they are in the field. Chastain 10th, Caruth in 11th. So you're going to gain some major ground. You would assume those two would come out as the leaders if they stay out. But that's the thing, is it's going to be like watchdogs are right behind you with tires that are about 8 to 10 laps newer. And although we've seen a lot of good short spurts in the green flag runs on those shorter runs, which was the entirety of Stage 2, about half and half between yellow and green flag laps in Stage 2, heading into Stage 3 now up to 98 of 150 laps, 3 laps down in Stage 3 on the caution. But guys coming around, getting ready to head down to the pits. Looks like our leader, Lane Riggs, is heading down.
It's going to be interesting to see if this could be the final pit stop of the night for some of these guys. Lane Riggs leads him down. Chandler Smith quickly into his box, and I would assume we're going to see a lot of 4 tires and fuel in this situation.
Chastain and Caruth both staying out. They'll be 1-2. Riggs leading the way down pit road with a few behind him.
Boy, that's going to set up an interesting dynamic for the restart. But as we said, Lane Riggs leading him down pit road, and it looks like it is going to be all 4 tires and fuel for most of these guys. Parker Retzlaff and Gio Ruggiero getting a pretty good launch out of the pit box, and it looks like Retzlaff may have taken only 2 tires. He's going to beat Riggs and Eckes and Caden Honeycutt off of pit road, and that could set up for a very interesting restart here.
It will indeed. A lot of reshuffling. First time we'll see Riggs out of the lead. Retzlaff going up. Looks like 12 positions. Corey LaJoie and Gio Ruggiero opting to take 2 as well. They're up 10 and 13 spots respectively. The other big movers, Sutton in the 26, up 13 spots. So a lot of big movers opting to take no tires or only 2, like Chastain and Caruth staying out.
Well, that changes a lot of things, because not only are we going to have the guys staying out from the last pit cycle who are going to be leading the pack, but we've also got guys who only have 2 tires or no tires in the middle of the pack making their way up, and that could be tough for guys like Lane Riggs and Caden Honeycutt, because you got to fight your way through the rest of the field now to get back towards that top of the scoring pylon. So this restart is going to be mighty fascinating, Willie.
And looking at that pylon right now, Chastain out in front, and it's not Caruth up there with him. Lane Riggs, P2, Caden Honeycutt 3rd, Eckes 4th, and then Caruth coming in 5th. So staying out, not fully paying off, excuse me, for the 7 car.
Yeah, we'll see how that continues to evolve as time goes on here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Of course, Ross Chastain, former winner in the Cup Series here at the Nashville Superspeedway, trying to get a Truck Series win. Of course, Ross had some success back in 2019 running the trucks full-time for Nice Motorsports. He's with a Nice Motorsports truck tonight, and he's taken that 45 to the front here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Carruth will be in second. Tyler Ankrum will be in third for this restart. We'll see where guys like Lane Riggs, Caden Honeycutt, and others end up. Andres Perez will be in the fourth position, and Parker Retzlaff, who we talked about, made that interesting decision on pit road. He'll be in fifth. Gio Ruggiero is in seventh. Corey LaJoy in sixth, and Caden Honeycutt will be in eighth. Dawson Sutton ninth, and there's Riggs back in the 10th position. So this is the deepest point in the field that Riggs has been in tonight, and that means that coming off of this restart, Willie, for the first time in this race, somebody other than Lane Riggs is going to lead a lap.
Yeah, very weird, and as you look at it, Chastain already leading due to the pace laps, and taking a minute to see that field kind of jumble up and separate, but that's going to make Stage 3 really exciting, and we knew it would when we saw Chastain and Carruth go ahead and go down early. Certainly going to change things, but some other guys to look back, some big fallers. Eck is back to 15th, one of the farthest back spots he's been all night. Ben Rhodes and Ty Majeski, both ThorSport cars, holding down 13th and 14th. Some other guys, Stuart Friesen hovering around 17th, Daniel Dye just inside the top 20 at 19, and Parsons rounding it out in the 4-car at 20th.
All right, everyone, hang on to your seatbelts. No pun intended. We've got a wild and dramatic Stage 3 set up here at the Nashville Superspeedway. We'll take a 1-minute timeout. When we come back, we'll have the first restart in Stage 3 here in the Allegiance 200.
Your home for all things sports in the Tennessee Mid-State is right here on MTN Sports. We give you a taste of everything that our area sports have to offer. Our video content is second to none, with award-winning shows like Blue Rider Extra Point and live broadcasts of sports like MTSU Tennis. Whether it's announcing, anchoring, or social media, we've got a spot for you to join our team. MTN Sports, your ultimate mid-state sports hub. Hey media superstars, are you looking to take the next huge step? The Middle Tennessee School of Journalism and Strategic Media is here to help you with classes and degrees in entertainment, investigative, advertising, sports, and more. From award-winning programs to award-winning professors, we give you everything you need to make your dreams a reality. The MTSU School of Journalism and Strategic Media. Inform, entertain, design, engage.
Welcome back for the Allegiance 200 at Nashville Superspeedway. We will have the restart here in just a moment. Shoes rule in effect. Ross Chastain choosing the inside. Rajah Carruth to his outside in row 1. It'll be Tyler Ankrum in third. Andres Perez to the outside in fourth for this final stage restart, Willie.
And going to be really I'm excited to see how this plays out, Dylan. First time Lane Riggs not in that pole position. We've seen how he's launched, and looks like he's down on the inside back in 10th. So it'll be interesting to see not only how he plays it, but what transpires up front with Chastain and Carruth.
Ross Chastain started way back in the 25th position at the start of this race. He now leads here in the Allegiance 200, trying to take home his first Truck Series win of the season. Rajah Carruth, last year's winner here at Nashville in the Truck Series, trying to go double or nothing here in 2026 as they get set to make their way into the Echo Park Automotive Restart Zone.
Chastain down on the inside, punching it into the restart zone. Bunched up behind him, getting a big push from third place. Chastain out in front. Carruth too wide inside with Ankrum as they head into turn 1.
Honeycutt very aggressive in the middle of 3 wide, trying to get to the inside of Parker Retzlaff, tight and stacking up. Lane Riggs with a truck right on his quarter panel as they continue to stack up down the backstretch. Majeski almost in some trouble.
Honeycutt with a big run in the backstretch. He's up into 5th place as Chastain and Carruth duking battling it out. Chastain going high. Caruth got the low line. Chastain going to be out in front coming in the restart zone. Who's going to be in the lead? Chastain and Caruth bump. They're neck and neck.
That's one of the first times we've seen the outside lane work for a guy tonight, but Chastain is not done with Caruth yet, and he's going to take over on that inside lane. Raja Caruth to the lead for the first time tonight here in the Allegiance 200.
And Raja out in front by a full truck length, diving down to the inside, trying to break up any draft from Chastain in the backstretch. Caruth's lead growing, heading into 3, into 4, and the rest of the field stacking up behind them. Honeycutt up to 3rd already. A good restart for him.
Andres Perez side by side with Tyler Ankrum for 4th right now. And like you said, Caden Honeycutt had a heck of a restart. He's already up to 3rd, making some heavy ground up. Lane Riggs still mired back in traffic, way back there near the 10th or 11th position.
Right now, a battle for 4th looks like between Ankrum and Perez, trying to see who can jockey for position as those top 3 start to spread out. Chastain trying to chase down Caruth, but Caruth gaining, coming out of 4 into the restart zone.
And they are nearly 3 wide back there deep in the pack. Ty Majeski trying to race against Stefan Parsons. They'll continue to be 3 wide as they make their way down the front stretch. Chandler Smith mired back in lap traffic as well.
And Riggs falling back to 12th, fighting with Rhodes for position, leading going into 1, now up into 2, but back out in front, Caruth still leading the way over Chastain.
He is, and I will say this, he hasn't been able to fully gap Ross Chastain yet. Ross has stuck with him pretty well, and of course you got Honeycutt charging hard in 3rd, and remember, he's got those fresh tires, which Chastain and Caruth don't. Could be big here.
And Honeycutt looks like he's going to have an opportunity to make a run on Chastain into 1. Caruth out in front. Chastain getting a better run as some sparks fly up in 1. Nothing to worry about yet. Single file all the way back into 10th.
Couple of trucks side by side back there around 11th or 12th position. Parker Retzlaff trying to make his way up through the pack as well, as they're almost going to go 3 wide into turn number 3. Looks like also Stuart Friesen in the middle of that.
And Friesen, a guy that's had to battle through a lot of diversity so far tonight, or adversity, excuse me. But Friesen having some trouble early on, was able to get the truck back out there and has had a solid run. Got himself up into the top 10 towards the back half of stage 2.
Sparks flying underneath the Christian Eckes truck. Looks like no problems there. Just heavy on the brakes right now. Raja Caruth continues to lead over Ross Chastain, and that gap has stayed pretty consistent in the last few laps. We'll see if that trend continues here in the final stage.
Listed as half a second, Caruth's deficit over Chastain. Chastain cutting it down heading into 1.
Ben Rhodes going to the inside of Stuart Friesen as they make their way down towards turn number 1. We got Justin Haley on pit road right now. We'll see if there's an issue with him as time goes on. Lane Riggs trying to go to the inside of Stuart Friesen, still looking to make a charge to the front.
And Riggs still outside of the top 10, fell down back into that restart. And Caruth and Chastain still battling it out. Chastain falling back more towards Honeycutt as he's closing in down to 2 truck lengths heading into 1.
Yeah, Honeycutt has made his way back up to Ross Chastain. Tried to look to the inside. Chastain slammed the door on him. He knows just how important it is to maintain that second position, especially if we have another restart down the line.
That blue, silver, and red HendrickCars.com number 7 flying through 3 for Caruth. Chastain and Honeycutt trying to play catch-up, but Caruth, his lead is building.
That goes to show that track position could be important here in this Allegiance 200. Raja Caruth and Ross Chastain so far making the most of it, and the dominator Lane Riggs still having trouble making his way through this pack, although he's got a lot of time still with 39 to go in this Allegiance 200.
And so far, so good for those on older tires. That 8 to 12 lap range not playing a big difference yet, and that's the big word here, Dylan, as we see those start to wear down a little bit quicker than others will, and expect to see some of those new tires start to catch up. But for Caruth, the lead is building up to 7/10 on Chastain and 9/10 on Honeycutt, nearly a second.
Justin Haley just went behind the wall, looked as though he might have been leaking a fluid, couldn't tell for sure, but his night will effectively, it looks like, come to an end. So the 16 truck now out of the race, at least for the moment. But in front, it's Raja Caruth maintaining about a half a second advantage over Ross Chastain. Honeycutt about a second back of the number 7.
And we've seen that 7 start to pick up steam. Caruth in clean air for the first time all night outside of that long run in stage 1 where everybody had a little bit of clean air. So Caruth finding the adjustments out in front, and it's been working for him as he's up to nearly a second lead on Chastain. Chastain and Honeycutt battling in 1. Chastain almost getting his corner panel caught by Honeycutt, but going to have a run on the backstretch to get back out in front of Honeycutt.
Ty Majeski just went by Gio Ruggiero, battling for 14th position right now, trying to make his way up through traffic. But Ross Chastain trying to hold on against Caden Honeycutt. Those two are separated by maybe half a truck length.
That battle for second coming right in front of us on the front stretch. Chastain going high, so is Carruth. Chastain going to get the low line under Honeycutt. Honeycutt settles in behind about half a truck length.
Yeah, and Honeycutt's been trying to duck inside of Ross Chastain time and time again. Just can't quite get an advantage, but it's going to be hard, if at all possible, for Caden Honeycutt to try to make a move to the outside of Chastain. Can he get any sort of opportunity? He will move half a lane higher.
And trying to find more grip, trying to get a run on Chastain. We'll see if it works. It does a little bit, but Raja Carruth taking full advantage of this battle for second place. His lead up over a second on both drivers.
Grant Enfinger making a move to the inside of Corey LaJoy, and he'll easily take that spot coming out of turn number 1. Caden Honeycutt still trying to solve the Rubik's Cube of the watermelon man, Ross Chastain. We'll see if he can dive bomb it into turn 3.
Drivers 4 and 5, Ankrum and Perez in the 18 and 44, settling in the 4th and 5th place, both back by more than 3 seconds. And behind them, it's LaJoy, Enfinger, and Eckes.
We got a slow truck. It's Caden Honeycutt on the apron, coming down the front straightaway. Might be a problem. Don't know what's going on. I wonder if he's got a flat tire.
Either a flat or some kind of malfunction, still not finding speed into 1. Haven't seen a yellow flag yet, but good news for Raja Carruth. His lead continuing to grow. Ankrum sliding into 3rd, 3 seconds behind the leader.
Honeycutt trying to get on the apron out of the way of traffic, but he is slowing almost to a crawl on that backstretch. Still no caution. NASCAR trying to give Honeycutt the benefit of the doubt, but they may need to throw one here quickly because he's not speeding up.
A battle back towards, I believe, for 7th place, the 62 and the 99 going at it, and Honeycutt still down on that apron, slowly but surely trying to get to pit lane on lap 117, 33 to go.
Yeah, we'll try to figure out what the problem is for Caden Honeycutt, but that's got to be a gut punch after the dominance that he's shown so far tonight. Meanwhile, teammates battling for position. It's Chandler Smith to the inside of Lane Riggs, and he'll take that spot.
Carruth cruising through 2 onto the backstretch. Chastain more than 10 truck lengths behind him. Last year's winner starting to heat up here in stage 3.
And caution is out. Honeycutt could not make it back to pit road. He is stalled out on the apron of turn number 4. And what was a great night for the points leader has gone completely away on lap 118 of this Allegiance 200.
And awful luck for Honeycutt. As you mentioned it, back in the 26th, 2 laps down already. And for Caden Honeycutt in the 11 truck, it had been a heck of a night playing second fiddle to Lane Riggs, but still trying to limp it to pit lane. Got about half a rotation on the tires. And finally across the yellow line, he's going to need some help getting behind the wall.
He was battling for second position with Ross Chastain when he had whatever issue that he's got now. It almost looks like, I don't want to say a power issue, but something along those lines to just suddenly not have the truck work. We thought it was a flat tire maybe at first, but looking at that truck right now, that doesn't seem to be the case here, Willie.
Yeah, no apparent damage, at least to the body. Going to be something inside, whether it be electrical, fluid issues, something else. But once again, a heartbreaker for Caden Honeycutt, the series points leader. And he was out there doing his thing tonight for the first 3 quarters of the race. But with nearly 30 to go, his truck falling out of favor.
And what that means, if there is one saving grace for Lane Riggs right now, who's trying to make his way back to the front but has been mired in traffic, is that there will likely be a new points leader after this race comes to an end. Riggs entered the race just 11 points back of Honeycutt, and it's likely he's going to take that spot as they go under the hood of Caden Honeycutt's truck, trying to figure out what's going on. And they're actually almost looks like they're tugging at the left rear wheel well.
And certainly not an issue you want to see, because that's one of those things where Dylan, it could really be anything. But looking back at Riggs, you'd mentioned his battle between him and his teammate Chandler Smith, both Fords for front row, 11th and 12th right now, and Riggs just has not been able to replicate the speed that he had in stages 1 and 2 on the new tires, but we've seen him be so good on the restarts, especially with clean air. I wouldn't be shocked to see him try to dip down into that apron on this next restart.
I would not be shocked at all, especially with how important real estate and extra space is right now on these restarts as they continue to work on the Caden Honeycutt Tricon Garage Toyota. But obviously he is no longer going to be in contention for this race. And this restart, it's going to get very fascinating with all the mixed strategies. Who comes to pit road and who's going to be out in front when we come back? We'll find out here on the Allegiance 200, back in 2 minutes to Nashville Superspeedway.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First, drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow, you sound just like him.
Then he said,
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips. Because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on, and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to great things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisisfreeretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know.
Back here at the Allegiance 200 at Nashville Superspeedway, 122 laps of 150 complete here at this 1.3 mile concrete circuit. And we have had a shakeup in the race as of late. Both Caden Honeycutt and Lane Riggs, one mired back in traffic, the other 2 laps down after having some sort of electrical or mechanical issue. He is no longer a contender in this race. And the story so far in this final stage has been track position and 2 guys taking advantage of it, Rajah Caruth and Ross Chastain.
Yeah, you saw Rajah and Ross pit early in stage 2 before that final caution around the 80-lap mark before a 10 or so short green window there, and that's worked out for them. Rajah out in front for majority of stage 2, 18 laps led, the other 6 going to Ross Chastain, who led coming out of the pits, but a big restart for Chastain on the outside and a run off of 2 that Chastain was not able to fend off, and then a battle between him and Honeycutt, ultimately sending Honeycutt to the garage with whatever unforeseen issue that they've got. But during that ad break, Dylan, Lane Riggs heading back down pit road, getting some sort of adjustment. He's slotting in back at 13th place now.
We'll see how much potential ground Lane Riggs is able to make up. As the choose is in effect, it will be Rajah Caruth on the inside with Ross Chastain to his outside here. And Honeycutt, well, he's starting to stall out again, it looks like. Nope, maybe just getting a little bit situated near the start-finish line and making sure he's back up to traffic. So he should be all set and good to go. But as we said, this restart is going to be very interesting as far as who can maintain track position and who can get the early jump, especially with some of the dominant contenders currently not up towards the front of the pack. And, of course, you don't know how many more restarts like this you're going to get, Willie, so you got to take advantage of them.
Well, I'm sure we'll have a few more with the trend of this race. After a fully green stage 1, we had 5 cautions in 2, including the stage break, and so far 2 here in stage 3 with 25-ish to go. They come to the line with 27 to run, 123 laps of 150 done. Carruth on the inside, Chastain outside. Restart zone, Carruth getting a jump on Chastain, a big push down onto the lip. Chastain cleared by Carruth, and Carruth leading the way into 1.
Yeah, Tyler Ankrum gave Rajah Carruth a huge shot coming off the start-finish line. Ross Chastain, as they continue to stack up.
A little bit of trouble in 2. Looks like Rhodes slid up the track, almost had a truck hit the wall, but clean into the backstretch. Carruth leading into 3.
Don't know how they avoided a crash there. They're still 3 wide going into turn number 3. Corey LaJoie trying to make his way back up through the field as he got loose to the outside. In second, it's Ross Chastain as he clears Tyler Ankrum side by side between Grant Enfinger and Andres Perez for 4th.
And Carruth getting another big run back out into that lead, growing his time over Chastain up to nearly a second after just 2 laps off the restart. Rajah Carruth dominating so far here in stage 3.
Rajah Carruth looking just like he did last year here at Nashville Superspeedway, as he's already put a pretty good gap between himself and Ross Chastain, coming out of turn number 4 to lead yet another lap.
And trying to find some battles here, some movement back for 6th. Enfinger out in front of Friesen, and Friesen going to get undercut by the 91 truck. He's inside of Friesen in 1 with a 2 wide up ahead of them.
Yeah, Andres Perez trying to go to the outside for the 4th position, and he'll be able to take it from Chandler Smith as they were side by side momentarily. 3 wide, Ty Majeski with Stefan Parsons to his inside.
Carruth growing that lead yet again. Now up to well over a second on Chastain. Market is 1.1. Ankrum back in 3rd, a second and a half back. Friesen going up high, 3 wide and 1.
Lane Riggs to the inside of Gio Ruggiero trying to fight his way back into the top 10. He'll be able to take that spot. He's now up to 11th with Ty Majeski right in front of him. There's a truck slow on the apron going down the backstretch, and I believe that's Ben Rhodes.
And looked like a little bit of trouble for Friesen on that backstretch. Saw the bright neon 52 get a little bit close to that wall and lose some positioning. But you know who hasn't lost some positioning is Rajah Carruth, continuing to gain in that lead over Ross Chastain.
He's now got 1.2 seconds over Chastain as he makes his way into turn number 2. Rajah Carruth using his dominant track position and dominant final stage truck to maintain control of this race. There's a caution out on the speedway. Not sure what this is for yet. Could be debris. But either way, actually, I think there's a wheel. Is that a tire or something down there in turn 4? Or excuse me, on the front stretch?
Trying to see. I haven't gotten a look at it yet, Dylan, but certainly enough to put out the yellow. But right before we got to that, was going to point out the front row boys starting to figure it out. Chandler Smith bumped up the 4th place as there is a tire on its side in the infield.
And I wonder, we saw Ben Rhodes going slow down the back straightaway, Willie. I wonder if that tire came off of his truck as he was trying to make his way through the apron. And yes, it was Ben Rhodes who had that tire issue, but it's very rare you see a tire just completely fall off of a truck in this spot.
Yeah, that blue and yellow car sponsored by Nashville Stampede for Rhodes down on pit road. Been over there for multiple pace laps now as the number 5 coming through on a pass-through as well. But a big issue there for Rhodes. And with about 20 to go, that can be a killer.
Yeah, and that tire planted firmly in the grass over towards the beginning part of the front straightaway. That's a tough break for Ben Rhodes because he had a top 10 truck for a majority of the night. The 2-time Craftsman Truck Series champion, though, going to have to find a lot to come back from this spot. But once again, that's going to reshuffle the field as we get ready for another restart here in the final stage. And when we do restart, we'll have less than 20 laps to go here at Nashville Superspeedway. And one thing that has been the consistent theme so far in this final stage, Rajah Carruth dominating the field.
Carruth up to 25 laps led, Market at 26. Taking the yellow to mark 130 out of 150 down here in Nashville. And looking at the rest of the pack, Ross Chastain in 2nd, Ankrum in 3rd, Smith up to 4, as we mentioned. Andres Perez holding down 5th, rounding out the top 10. Enfinger, Eckes Dye freezing up to 9th, and he's back. Lane Riggs into 10th place.
Yeah, Lane Riggs now in the top 10, still with some time to make up some ground, and this restart certainly could help him. But as we get further along into this final stage, the question starts rattling around in your headspace about whether or not you may want to risk coming to pit road here, get some fresh tires, and see if you can make your way back up. But with some of the track position we've seen from some of these guys, that might be risky.
Yeah, we certainly don't get paid the big bucks to make those decisions, but based off of what we've seen from Carruth and Chastain, able to hold down first and second for about the last 30 laps or so, it really feels like tire wear not playing as big of an impact as we thought it would, but we haven't really seen any green flag runs since stage 1, when all 45 laps under green, and then since then a 10-ish lap run to in stage 2, and then a couple of medium-sized runs here in 3 so far.
Yeah, they continue to work on the Ben Rhodes number 99 Thor Sport 4, trying to get some work done after the loose wheel. And they just showed a replay on our monitor, and it looks like there was some contact between himself and Corey LaJoie that we saw early on in that restart that probably led to that loose wheel becoming a factor. So that is probably what caused it, as Stefan Parsons makes his way onto pit road here.
I was going to mention that, Dylan. Pit lane open for business, and Parsons the only taker, so heeding the advice of both his crew and Cup Series spotter Connor Zilich upstairs above us, getting the bird's eye view, and Parsons kind of sideways into his box and burns out. Looked like he got his left sides changed, and so trying to get a quick positioning back out there, but going to be a big fall for that neon green number 4.
Rajah Caruth, Ross Chastain, 1-2 here at Nashville Superspeedway. Who's going to claim the crown in the Allegiance 200? We'll find out in just a bit. Back in 1 minute for the next restart in the final stage at Nashville Superspeedway.
Your home for all things sports in the Tennessee Mid-State is right here on MTN Sports. We give you a taste of everything that our area sports have to offer. Our video content is second to none, with award-winning shows like Blue Hitter Extra Point and live broadcasts of sports like MTSU Tennis. Whether it's announcing, anchoring, or social media, we've got a spot for you to join our team. MTN Sports, your ultimate mid-state sports hub. Hey media superstars, are you looking to take the next huge step? The Middle Tennessee School of Journalism and Strategic Media is here to help you with classes and degrees in entertainment, investigative, advertising, sports, and more. From award-winning programs to award-winning professors, we give you everything you need to make your dreams a reality. The MTSU School of Journalism and Strategic Media. Inform, entertain, design, engage.
Back here in the Allegiance 200, Dylan Simmons, Willie Fayler joining you. Rajah Caruth leading the pack right now under caution, searching for his third career NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series victory and trying to do it for the second time here at Nashville Superspeedway. Track position has been the name of the game so far in the final stage. Only one taker on pit road through that last cycle, so our current leaders will maintain their spots, at least for the time being. It is Caruth and Chastain in the first and second spots. Tyler Ankrum is in third. In fourth is Chandler Smith, and Andres Perez rounds out the top 5 here in the Allegiance 200.
And while we've seen Caruth and Chastain carry the speed here early in Stage 3, those two guys from Front Row Motorsports, Chandler Smith in the 38, and then Lane Riggs, the guy that's been running the first 2 stages of tonight's race. Those guys are starting to find their speed. Riggs into 10th after being as far down as 12, and Smith in his highest position yet so far tonight in 4th place.
Choose rule is in effect. Rajah Caruth, as expected, takes the inside. Ross Chastain to the outside. Ankrum will be in the third spot in the second row on the inside. Chandler Smith to the outside. Grant Enfinger to the inside in row 3. Andres Perez in 6th to the outside. Christian Eckes to the inside in row 4, with Stuart Friesen to his outside in 8th. And pretty good rebound for Friesen after some early problems here tonight in the Allegiance 200.
And I mean, typically, as always at most tracks, the inside going to have that advantage, but haven't seen too many drastic decisions of guys sacrificing it all to go inside and drop back positioning. Guys have been able to make that outside line work, especially Ross Chastain finding some success, but most notably, Carruth taking the lead off that first restart in Stage 3 from the outside position.
All right, how aggressive do you want to be on this restart? We're going to have 16 laps to go when we come back to the line. There's a trophy on the line, and the laps are ticking down. Only so many more opportunities to utilize. Rajah Carruth will lead them to the start-finish line as they get set to enter the Echo Park Automotive Restart Zone.
Carruth out in front, heading into the restart zone. Chastain getting a better run. Carruth gets a little bit loose. Chastain going to get out in front. He's got a little bit of a run. They're neck and neck heading into one. Carruth down low, Chastain out in front, but here comes Carruth. They're both together heading into the backstretch.
Chastain got a great push from Chandler Smith on the restart, trying to maintain his position on the outside. They are side by side coming down into turn number 3 and 3 wide back in the pack.
Carruth clearing Chastain, heading into 4. He'll be out in front, coming to the backstretch. Still 3 wide, going into 4, backed up in towards 10th place.
That inside lane continues to make the difference. Chandler Smith now firmly in 3rd, trying to get to the inside of Ross Chastain. Sticks a quarter panel down there, and Smith is to his inside.
Lane Riggs getting a run up to 6th place, making the outside lane work, passing Friesen and trying to catch up for a battle in the top 5.
Yeah, Lane Riggs has shot out of a cannon on this restart, trying to get into that top 5, but right now it's going to be Chandler Smith getting past Ross Chastain. He clears him and is into 2nd. Now he'll try to chase down Rajah Carruth.
And Carruth going to make that a tough task. Riggs moving up, looking into getting that top 5, taking the high line, has a draft from the 4th place car. He's going higher into 2 as Carruth is getting chased down by Smith in the backstretch.
Yeah, Lane Riggs just got past Christian Eckes. He'll try to pick off Andres Perez next as we're down to 14 laps to go here in the Allegiance 200. It is still Carruth out in front of Chandler Smith, and Riggs getting held up for that 4th position, tries to duck to the inside of a slow truck. They're still colliding almost on that front straightaway. This could be trouble.
And there was contact, and now Friesen trying to get to that corner panel. Riggs stuck in between him and Enfinger, 3 wide into 1 as Carruth heads to the backstretch. Riggs still battling it out.
Unbelievable that they didn't crash throughout all that scrum on the front stretch. Riggs maintains control to the inside of Stuart Friesen, trying to get into the top 5 here at Nashville Superspeedway as we have an incredible battle for that 5th position.
Friesen, Enfinger, and Riggs all going at it. Tyler Ankrum trying to separate in 4th. Riggs back by 4/10 of a second and gaining on Ankrum out in front firmly of Friesen.
And we got a truck smoking down the front straightaway. That is Dawson Sutton in the 26. We'll see if that evolves into any further problems. Stays fine right now, but that could be something to watch.
Jumping back up to the front of the pack, Carruth going into 3, but Smith gaining on him going into 4. Carruth trying to higher line and Smith following suit.
Yeah, Sutton is still smoking. I think he's got a left rear tire rub. We'll see if he tries to bring that thing to pit road. He has not yet. He's going to have to be careful or that could be a flat tire.
Riggs trying to chase down Ankrum 4/4, has a chance to make a move. He goes high into 1. He's even with him onto the corner panel, and he's out in front heading into the backstretch. Lane Riggs back into 4th place.
Lane Riggs now back into 4th. He got held up earlier. He gets past Ankrum here, trying to chase down the leaders. It is still Rajah Carruth in full command with Chandler Smith starting to eat into his lead down by about half a second.
Carruth taking the line, 10 to go. Chastain back into 3rd. Riggs, his next task, get to Chastain, and he's down by a second.
These final 10 laps sponsored by MTSU Counseling Services. A big thank you to them for providing high-quality mental care.
And Smith gaining ground on Carruth, now down under half a second. Smith moving around, trying to find a line that works. Carruth continually going higher and higher coming out of 4.
But Chandler Smith is trying to chase him down, and that gap is getting ever closer. It's inside of half a second now as they make their way down towards turn number 1. 9 laps to go in the Allegiance 200.
And that last lap, Riggs gaining over half a second on Chastain. Those old tires coming into play. Riggs trying to make a run in the middle of the backstretch heading into 3 as Carruth and Smith getting closer and closer in 4. 4.
Rajah Caruth, 2 career Craftsman Truck Series wins, trying to go for number 3. He will cross the stripe with 8 to go this time by, but Chandler Smith, I'm telling you, he is getting closer and closer with every lap. He's cut the lead down by 2/10.
Riggs with a chance, goes inside on Chastain. He has the positioning and clears him heading into 2. Lane Riggs back into 3rd, and 2 and 3 front row motorsports teammates. Lane Riggs, Chandler Smith chasing down Rajah Caruth, the defending winner at Nashville Superspeedway.
What a series by Lane Riggs. He has fought his way back into the top 3. Now we've got to ask the question of if he has enough time to chase down Chandler Smith and Rajah Caruth, still 1-2.
Caruth should be good on gas with 7 to go. Heading into 1, Smith starting to gain still some sparks lighting up on that Smith machine.
Chandler Smith trying to continue to cut into that lead for Rajah Caruth. Rajah has put a bit more of a blanket between himself and the 38 truck as of late. When he crosses the stripe this time by, there will be 6 laps to go, mostly single file through the pack here at Nashville Superspeedway.
Riggs starting to close on Smith, but both of them hoping for a restart here. A big opportunity to go after Caruth, and with 2 teammates, you might see them opt to pile up with each other.
Riggs is 2 miles per hour faster than Rajah Caruth right now, but does he have enough time to make up enough ground? He's going to only have 5 laps to go when they come around this time. Chandler Smith down now by just 0.4 of a second to the leader, Rajah Caruth.
Smith with a big run, heading into 3, going to close it out. Coming to 4, they're going to be very close, coming to the line, down to about 5 truck lengths with the Riggs knocking on the door.
How aggressive does Chandler Smith want to be down towards the end of this race? He's got a solid top 5 night right now, but will he risk it all and try to go for the win against Rajah Caruth? Can Rajah hold him off? That gap continues to shrink as they make their way down the backstretch.
Chastain and Ankrum comfortably in 4th and 5th, going to come down to a battle between the top 3. Riggs with a run, and so is Smith. Caruth's lead shrinking ever so slightly.
Remember, Rajah's been out there pretty much since the start of the final stage with no changes of his tires. These two both have fresher tires on their race trucks, and that could play a factor. Maybe that tire wear starting to add up for Rajah Caruth, as again the gap continues to shrink between the top 3.
And Riggs getting closer to Smith than Smith is to Caruth. Riggs on the newest tires of the trio, going to make a run for the lead from 3rd place. Heading into 3, Caruth up on Smith with Riggs following suit.
Time is running short, though, in this race. When they cross the start-finish line, there will be 3 laps to go in the Allegiance 200. Chandler Smith trying to make his way up, but he might have a mirror full of Lane Riggs in just a moment. Riggs trying to peek to the outside for 2nd.
Riggs going high, as you said, coming out of 2. He's got a run on Smith. He drafts. He goes for the slingshot. Riggs fighting for 2nd. Has a chance on Caruth. Riggs trying to clear his teammate. He will into 3 with a big run on Caruth coming through 4.
Lane Riggs trying to dig for it all in turn number 4. When they come around, they'll have 2 laps to go. Does Riggs have enough time to catch Rajah Caruth?
Riggs down by about 2.5 car lengths, looking for another run in 1. Going high, so is Caruth. Riggs higher, Smith underneath Riggs. Riggs losing a little bit of ground on Smith, but gaining on Caruth. All 3 tightly packed together in the backstretch.
And he gains a huge amount of momentum down the back straightaway, trying to send it going into turn number 4. Riggs to the outside of Caruth. They're going to be side by side as they go down the front stretch.
Neck and neck with Smith following behind, Caruth in front. Not for long.
They make
contact on the
contact.
corner panel. Riggs is in front. Smith and Riggs nearly colliding. Riggs going to the outside in 1. Caruth and Riggs battling on the MT1 stop, 1 to go.
Still side by side, and Lane Riggs will clear Rajah Caruth thanks to a bump from Chandler Smith going into turn number 1. It is all Lane Riggs making his way through turns 3 and 4. Rajah Caruth trying to find his way back, but he's going to have nothing for the number 34 truck as he makes his way down the front straightaway. Lane Riggs back-to-back. He wins at Nashville.
And Smith and Caruth, a battle for 2nd. Caruth going to come in 2nd. Smith 3rd, so a podium full of front row motorsports, but what a comeback for Lane Riggs. The winner of Stage 1, the winner of Stage 2, back all the way to 12th, but Riggs going to finish this Friday night and Saturday morning in victory lane.
He has used up that left rear tire trying to make his way up through the pack. Lane Riggs, like you mentioned, Willie, he was outside the top 10 with about 20 laps to go here in the final stage, and celebrations legends abound here in the Allegiance 200. Started on the pole, had the dominant track position, but had to fight his way back in this final stage. He did exactly that, and it's fitting that he's sponsored by Loves, because Lane Riggs, as he does a burnout, is feeling the love in the Allegiance 200.
Fireworks popping off in Nashville, and Riggs burning that thing down towards the infield on the apron. It's a smoke show for Lane Riggs.
Fireworks going off the backstretch here at Nashville Superspeedway. And I'll tell you what, we had to wait a long time for this race. We're past midnight now here Central Time, but I got to say, partner, I think that show was worth it.
I mean, what a race by both of them. Rajah Caruth, the defending winner here at the Superspeedway in the Craftsman Truck Series, led 44 laps, but no match for the phenom Lane Riggs. His second win in as many weeks, and Riggs going to get another win and become the regular season points leader after a dominating night, wins both stages, leads 99 laps, including the most important one, taking the white flag.
His third win of the season, the first Craftsman truck driver this year to go back-to-back, and that number 34 front row Ford, was fast all night, and he proved it in that final stage. The crew comes out onto the front stretch to talk to Lane Riggs. He was emotional last weekend after the win in North Carolina at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And you could tell a huge sigh of relief and elation on the face of Lane Riggs here at the Nashville Superspeedway as the fireworks continue to go off down the back straightaway.
I mean, what a night for Riggs. What a setup this team gave him, and what a setup they gave his teammate Chandler Smith as well. A very good night to be front row motorsports with Smith coming on in third place. Riggs out of the car going to take the white flag with that Loves hat on. And once again, what a night for Lane Riggs, and what a whirlwind last 2 weeks for the Loves number 34 truck driver.
Final results here in this one. Lane Riggs wins. Rajah Caruth, obviously a very disappointing finish after dominating most of the final stage. He ends up in second. And what a finish for front row. They get the first and third place trucks here tonight. Ross Chastain, a hard charge from the middle of the pack to start the race. He'll end up in fourth. Tyler Ankrum in fifth. Stuart Friesen in sixth. Grant Infinger in seventh. Christian Eckes finishes in eighth. Gio Ruggiero in ninth. And Daniel Dye rounds out the top 10. We're going to take one more 2-minute timeout. When we come back, we will wrap things up with the Allegiance 200 here at Nashville Superspeedway. Don't go anywhere. Back in 2 on the MTN Sports Network.
You can't escape a traffic jam. Know what else you can't escape? Seasonal allergies. And you might think you can avoid that coffee stain until... Oh, really? You can't escape a lot of things in life, but you can escape prediabetes. Prediabetes captures 1 in 3 adults. There are usually no signs of prediabetes. In fact, most people don't even know they have it. But with early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Take action by taking the 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. You might not be able to escape having this song stuck in your head, but you can escape prediabetes. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to great things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisisfreeretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. The Allegiance 200 complete at Nashville Superspeedway. Willie and I have a big smile on our faces after that crazy finish here in the Allegiance 200. Lane Riggs restarted with about 20 to go. Way back in 13th, 14th position, he made a crucial decision, or his crew, I should say, made a crucial decision to bring him onto pit road before that final restart. They took the 4 tires, and Lane Riggs rocketed to the front and got past Raja Carruth with a daring move to the outside just in time to claim his 3rd victory of the season and go back-to-back here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And some of that cheering you heard in the background was actually Lane Riggs' family here up in the booth. And, of course, Lane, as virtue of that win, the new points leader here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Yeah, just what a night for Lane, and punctuating it the same way he did after last week's win, getting out of the car, taking the checkered flag, going down the banking, and hitting Kyle Busch's signature bow to the crowd. And Lane Riggs with an effort that Rowdy certainly would have been proud of tonight. 99 laps, a comeback from 14th place after some pit road strategy taking effect in this one, and taking down a mighty tough opponent here at Nashville Superspeedway and Raja Carruth.
A miracle at midnight for Lane Riggs here at the Nashville Superspeedway on his way to his 3rd win of the season. What a race, and I know we had to stay up late for it, but I think it was worth every bit of time that we spent here at this 1 and 1 mile third racetrack today. Willie, any final thoughts on the Allegiance 200?
Yeah, I mean, just once again, you can't capitalize enough on the things that Lane Riggs did tonight. And now the new regular season points leader, taking home a whole bundle of points with both stage wins and then getting that total for winning the race. Raja having a good run in place of Rowdy, and seemed like front row had everybody's number with Chandler Smith coming in 3rd. But a real standout to me outside of the win by Riggs, how about Stuart Friesen getting up to 6th place? We saw him have a lot of trouble there in Stage 1, early in Stage 2, able to steady the ship and run that number 52 machine all the way up nearly into the top 5.
Yeah, great run for Stuart Friesen, overcoming some early troubles, ends up with a top 10 finish here tonight. And a big thank you as well to the track drying crew, all the NASCAR officials for making sure that this race came on. It was a beauty of a race here late on this, well, I would say Friday night, but it's now early Saturday morning here at the Nashville Superspeedway. But that is going to do it. But don't worry, folks, we will be back tomorrow with the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. For my producer, Kendall Davis, as well as my color man, Willie Thaler here tonight, I am Dylan Simmons saying so long. Chandler Smith, Lane Riggs, your winner here in the Allegiance 200. We'll see you tomorrow here on the MTN Sports Network. Have an electric night, everyone.